Well, hello everybody, and welcome to the 274th edition of the Boxing Asylum Nuthouse podcast. I'm your host, Steve Wellings, and joining me on the call so far, we have Andy Patterson and Gabe Lewis. Some of our regular panel members are going to be joining us at some point in the evening. I know Ozzy and Rob are coming on, so stay listening for them. Any of our Patreon subscribers will have heard us last night live commentating. It wasn't a joke. It happened. It actually happened during the Hughie Fury Sam Sexton fight. And we will be going over that fight later on. We'll also be talking about Munguia Saddam Ali and doing a few previews rather for next week. We've got Adonis Stevenson coming up. We have Gary Russell Jr. and obviously the big Selby Warrington card as well, which should be pretty interesting. There's Bellew of the Weeks as well to round off the show at the end of the night. Andy, we shall start over in the Madison Square Garden, New York. Only one place to start, really. Jorge Linares getting stopped in the 10th round by Vasyl Lomachenko. First time I've actually saw the scores here. I'm just looking at them. Wow, it really was close. I never even thought to look at the scores. 85-85 from Julie Lederman. Robin Taylor had Linares ahead 86-84. And Steve Weisfeld had Lomachenko ahead 86-84. That just really showed how tight the contest was. And the one thing I like about this fight, it was technically just such a superb fight. And I know some people, whenever you say this, they go, oh, hipster, hipster. But in this case, I don't think I'm being a hipster by saying this, because if it was, say, as Alani Tete and a Guillermo Rigondo fainting and having a chess match with each other, and I were to say it was a technically brilliant fight, one for the purists, and then you could maybe label me a hipster. But this fight, Andy, the brilliant thing was they were technically superb, but they also used it for good. They used it in an offensive manner. They went at each other. Whose will prevail, whose skill will prevail, and that was what really a war of attrition. And Lomachenko came out on top in the end. How did you see it? Were you as enamoured by the spectacle as I was?
Yeah, I was riveted to it, mate. I was glued to it. There's a lot of there's a lot of buzzwords in boxing these days, especially online and stuff. About world class and what levels and stuff like that. When you hear someone mention world class, then elite level. That last night was elite level boxing. That's just what it was all about. You had two guys relatively in their primes. I would probably say, I don't think it's too wrong to say that Linares is, you know, short or past his prime in that. I think he's basically still in his prime. Might have been beat out of him, mind you, last night after that fight. I had the 86-84 to Lomachenko. I was a wee bit surprised as to how close it was. It was heading for a draw, actually. Um, you know, I thought Linares won the first round. You could see he was purposeful with his shots, good jab. He was looking for uppercuts to the body as well, left hooks to the body. I did think that at times he was causing Lomachenko a bit of bother with the body shots and that, especially the right uppercuts and the left hooks and that. He seemed to kind of maybe abandon it, kind of as the fight kind of wore on. But I just think I really think that's maybe one of Lomachenko's weak spots, and that is the body attack, because you can see him at some points during the fight they're trying to referee his own fight, be talking about like low shots and that. I don't think Linares was landing low blows. I think it was more kind of like maybe borderline and stuff. But the rabbit punches, I'll give him that. But I don't think some of the maybe one or two shots maybe strayed low. But it was just absolutely epic fight to watch. I did think when it came in close, both did a lot of good work. But I think when they came together, Linares looked to hold. I think he maybe was feeling the pace a little bit. Whereas if you look at Lomachenko and that, he was looking to kind of work and try and drag his hands out of clinches and stuff. You could actually see, Linares kind of like hooking with his left hand with his right arm and stuff. I think if you look at the knockdown in the sixth round, actually, I think there was a warning sign there actually in the fourth. If you go towards maybe the end of the fourth round, when you see Linares land the right hand, kind of similar as to how he landed it for the knockdown, you can just see him and it just kind of shuddered Lomachenko a little bit. Loma came back out, he won the fifth round, and then just before the end of the sixth, he kind of Linares, I would say, he was probably losing around to that point, and then he stepped he moved to the outside of Lomachenko's jab, threw the right hand down the middle, peach perfect shot as Lomachenko's coming in as he's trying to land his own jab. Great shot, back up, and you could just see Lomachenko saying, right, okay, I'll just see it the round, showing intelligence, kind of just backing off and coming back out, resetting himself, kind of get back on the jab, work his way around about, work the angles, and that, which is what he did. And as the fight kind of wore on, I'm saying to myself, right, okay, he's fighting a bigger guy. If you look at Linares' back there last night, that looked like an aircraft carrier landing deck. It was just absolutely solid. So I'm looking at them, saying to myself, right, okay, I'm watching Linares landing some of these shots. Now you can see, right, okay, they've got maybe more meat in them. I'm thinking to myself, okay, Loma's going to have problems, I think, with these top guys at 135, especially trying to stop them. But then to turn it round like he did there in the 10th, with a vicious left hand to the liver, was absolutely, it was just a great shot, and just probably just testament again. I think his power's really underrated, and it's not about actually how hard you actually hit. It's actually how hard where you actually hit your opponent, and it's clear you can just literally see Linares' face literally crumple as the shot landed. So you got to give props to both guys. Lomachenko again, obviously stepping up in weight, fighting the de facto number one, so to speak. But you got to give Linares a lot of credit as well. Two elite technical fighters who, and I've got not enough praise to give these guys actually for what they put on there last night. I don't want to say a rematch straight away. I think we got a proper ending there last night, so there's really no need for a rematch. But great fight. I don't know if it will go up there as fight of the year candidate types things and that. But as you say, Steve, when you get two guys with that ability and actually put it on the line like that, that's what it's all about. That's what you want. You want guys on the same level fighting each other, and that's the rewards you get. We've seen it with the cruiserweights. We've seen it sometimes. We've seen it at heavyweight a wee bit with Joshua and Klitschko. But this is what we want, and much more to come. Linares, I think he can still come again. Lomachenko, I think he'll fight Beltran next, but other than that, I think he'll try and push for the Garcia fight as well.
Yeah, we shall be talking about future options a little bit later on. Ben Churchard was straight on to me this morning. He said, just wanted to say how great that fight was last night. Fight of the year so far for me, easy. Two boxers in their prime with unbelievable skills, putting it all on the line. Makes you remember why you love the sport. Hashtag class. Gabe, let's go to you. Just regarding the stoppage, actually, Andy touched on it there. The way I look at this stoppage is Linares, he got put into a really awkward position. He was just about to cock and load the right hand. He was just pushing back that right hand to try and throw it again. And all of a sudden, Lomachenko lands this peach of a left hand right underneath Linares' arm and straight into the liver. And then at that point, Linares has maybe 8 or 9 seconds, obviously the referees count, to try and make an assessment on how he's going to go forward in this fight. He's got searing pain going right through the side of his rib cage and his body, and he's trying to think to himself, where am I in this fight? Can I win this fight? I've given a lot so far. Have I got more to give? Can I win this? And all these questions and answers are rolling through his head at lightning speed. And he just wasn't able to do it, Gabe. He just wasn't able to get up from a shot like that. And it was just the precision and the beauty of that shot from Lomachenko that just sowed those seeds of doubt in Linares' mind. And I don't blame Linares at all for saying, I just can't carry on, because you have such a split second to try and decide, are you going to get up? Are you going to carry on? And he walked back to his corner. And I'm not going to say he's a quick job or anything like that, because that's just ridiculous, because what went on to that point was just magical from what I thought. Anyway, Gabe, I've gone on for long enough. What do you think?
Well, I think it was beautiful. It was a perfect shot, and the precision of it.
So much, Gabe, it's managed to silence you somehow.
Just put you on mute, mate.
Oh, sorry, fellas. I think the thing that we talked about, that you guys have already covered, was that it was a perfect shot. Perfect. It was great, and I just had like a Lampley pow, or what is it, bang, yeah, bang moment whenever he landed it, because it was such a perfect shot. And to me, honestly, it didn't look all that hard. It didn't look like it was as devastating, or was going to be as devastating as it ended up being. Simply put, it was just perfect. And on the angle that ESPN had us at, I'm not sure if everyone was running off ESPN cameras, or if somebody else may have had some other cameras there. I don't know how that goes, but it looked kind of awkward, like the way Linares went down. At first, I thought I did see the punch land, but it looked kind of negligible. I mean, to be honest with you, it didn't look any harder than anything else he got hit with. And I think the issue that it looked like to me was almost that he hurt his leg when he went down. But it was just a perfect little shot there. So it was a really great show. And I was picking Lomachenko the whole time, and until right before the fight was to start, I think someone posted on there the weights, and I said, oh, this may give Lomachenko a little bit of trouble. So I think it was the size, and Linares is a good fighter anyway. You're talking about a high skill guy who does a lot of good things, and so I think the best part of it was that you, like we said, you had two really great fighters putting on really great action, and neither one of them was really ready to give any ground, and it just kind of combusted into a like you guys have said and has already been covered, a really high level fight. And for me, it was the best fight of Lomachenko's career. I'm not even a big fan of most of the stuff that he's done, just because of the fact that he's so good. It's boring. Like, I mean, in the way that it's not competitive even. Obviously, I don't think the guy is boring. He's all action. He's always punching. He's always moving, always doing something to kind of amaze people. And from that aspect, I mean, he's a wizard to watch, and it's always good to see. But his other fights, I mean, they don't have that kind of style, that kind of excitement, because he's not in there with guys that are that much bigger than him. And I mean, you talk about the skill levels and the size differences combined made the fight what it was. I think if we were looking at a guy in Linares who was smaller, it wouldn't have had the same type of drama. It wouldn't have had the same kind of feel. He would have gotten some shots in here and there, but it probably would have been a much quicker stoppage, just because of the fact that he was bigger. He was able to take a little bit more punishment. So, whenever I'm watching it, I'm thinking, wow, this is really excellent stuff. And I don't believe it's sustainable to have Lomachenko continue with those kind of fights against guys that are that much bigger than him, just because of the fact that eventually he's going to get worn down from it. But I'd like to see him fight some guys, I guess bigger is what I'm going for here, even though it doesn't maybe make a whole lot of sense to do it on a continual basis.
Yeah, Gabe, just before you mute yourself there, I liked the fact that Lomachenko, you could tell this was a serious test, because in the past, even against the likes of your Sosas and even Walters and that, we've seen Lomachenko doing all these matrix moves, bobbing in and out, turning people, hitting them almost behind them at the same time. And that has been the overriding factor after a fight. People have been putting these memes on and saying how matrix-like he is and his footwork and all that. None of that really against Linares, for a reason. He had to be a lot more on point, hands were higher, a lot more conventional, I thought, a lot more orthodox. Obviously, he's a southpaw, but you know what I mean, what terms I'm talking about here. Getting behind the jab, not as many risks, and that was indicative of the level of opposition he was fighting, a guy who was so much more bigger. And tell me, Gabe, about that combination. I think it was Linares rattled it off in about the 5th or 6th round, was it, when he was jab, right hand, left to the body, left to the head. Lomachenko was actually taking a bit of punishment for once.
Yeah, he was. And I think it was just like we said, the skill level of Linares is kind of missed by a lot of Americans here, I think, because of the fact that he's so rarely on our TVs and so rarely in the collective conscious of everyone that is watching boxing on a semi constant basis. I used to have, there was a guy over in the UK somewhere, I'm not really sure where he was from. He used to sell DVD sets, and he had a Linares set, and I got it from him. And this has been ages ago. I don't even know if the guy still does that kind of stuff, but I saw that set, I guess, before the fight that he had against the Mexican DeMarco. And that fight was, that whole set was incredible. You could see the skill level. And so I think whenever you're looking at stuff from that viewpoint, then you know that he's a skilled fighter. Obviously, I guess what I'm saying is I've had the pleasure of watching a lot of fights of Linares, and he's just a high technical, savvy, high skill level, solid intangible strength, speed, those kind of things. Top fighter. I mean, he's always going to be solid, and he's always going to be a competitor in any fight that he's in. And I think, to me, that combination was indicative of the things that I knew. Maybe some of the people overseas that have got to see maybe a little bit more of his fights knew that he was capable of. And you had a certain portion of the media and some American media too that did give Linares a decent chance in that fight. And so I think there are people that knew what Linares was capable of, had seen maybe more of him than the casual people. that are just now coming to watch the ESPN top ranked boxing matches that are going on that maybe didn't watch a lot when it was on HBO or Showtime or what have you. I mean, the guy's solid. There's no way about it. And I think that's, like I said, what made this a great fight was because he's sound. Like, you're not going to go in the ring with Linares and blast him out. It's just not going to happen. And for Lomachenko to get to that point of the fight and being a competitive fight was, like I said, indicative completely of Linares' skill level and what he forced Lomachenko to do.
Yes, I had a message in from Richard Swig on the Facebook page. He says Loma was put down by a straight shot against a strong puncher who was about 2 divisions above him naturally. He bounced back up and resumed business almost immediately. The conclusion to draw, as if he isn't terrifying enough already, Loma has a great chin. Andy, what do you think? Did you see the ESPN or the Box Nation commentary feed, Andy?
The Box Nation commentary feed was the ESPN feed, so it was Joe Tessitore and Tim Bradley and that Mark Kriegel that we got.
Oh, right, they did the same one. That's okay. No, I was before the fight. I was watching the Mickey Elliott blog. Mickey Elliott is a matchmaker and manager from London, and the good thing about him, he runs this Hellraiser vlog over on YouTube where he gives predictions before fights. Lasts for about 10 minutes or so, and he's really knowledgeable because not only is he a guy who's been around boxing for a long time, but he also has seen a lot of the guys up close and personal. And he was talking this week about the fact that Linares had been down to their gym training for the Kevin Mitchell fight, and he was talking about Linares' footwork, his ability to gauge distance and range, and a real good inside knowledgeable breakdown from Mickey Elliott. But the point being, the ESPN guys, Andy, were saying that Linares was having more success when he was using his size and his reach and he was standing back, and that was where the long right hand came from. Whereas when he stood in the pocket and tried to throw with Lomachenko, he was giving up his advantages. Did you see that sort of stylistic observation?
I had to see that at times. I think even Tim Bradley might have mentioned it a few times. Where Linares needs to be is to be at mid distance, get it on the jab and stuff. I did think Tessitore was doing his best actually to try and mention a few Teddy Atlas comments and stuff like that, especially when it was coming to inside fighting. It was like, oh, he's going to get into the kitchen and he's going to get hot in here and all that sort of shit. But yeah, I thought Linares, when he kept it at distance, kept on the jab, and looked to land the left hook and bringing the right uppercut into play, and that's when I felt he had his best moments. Whereas when it came inside, as you say, Lomachenko, he would feint a lead to the body. He was slipping the right hook to the body, and then come up underneath there with the right uppercut, and he would spin off to the side, or he would look, or he'd feint to come in, spin off, and then try and throw a left hand. It was just I think Linares at times, I think, okay, he had been frustrated at times, but I just think, considering what's came before him, as an opponents for Lomachenko and that, he did everything possible expected to him. It's absolutely no shame losing to a guy like Lomachenko at the end of the day. He's been anointed as this, he's got no peer, so to speak. So when people start making memes of yourself that you can end up beating Floyd Mayweather, I think that tells you when you've actually arrived. So I don't think we can say that Linares did anything wrong. I just think Linares tried everything he possibly could, and in the end, it just wasn't enough. Again, he's by no means is he finished. I think he can still come again. I think he could give Garcia problems and stuff. So absolutely no shame in that performance. I think he had problems with the movement when he took his head off centre, Lomachenko, and he was spinning to the side and turning around Linares at times. But even then, Linares was also having his own success in turning Lomachenko and landing heavy shots on him. So it was swings and roundabouts at times, but this Loma was more the master at it, maybe slightly fresher as well.
Yeah, I was saying to Andy off air, I didn't actually see any of the undercard apart from the first round of the Conlan Larinaga fight that went 8 rounds. Also, Uzbekistani hype train Fazlidin Gaeb Nazarov, a super lightweight, improved to 4-0 with a 4th round KO of Jesus Silveira. So keep an eye on him. Gabe, I have a question regarding Loma's next move. Before I hit you with that, tell me what it is you want to add there.
I don't know if anybody else felt the same as I did, but I thought the ESPN was horrible last night. Just for the way they were cheering on Lomachenko and not really giving Linares credit. That was a damn close fight. It was a damn good fight. And at spots, only when it was blatantly obvious that Linares was doing good did ESPN give him any credit. And I was thinking shame on Tim Bradley for the way that he was calling it to some extent, and Tessitore, he just doesn't know shit anyway. Like he's always a color guy. He doesn't know enough. Like whenever they had Teddy Atlas on there to be able to look and really tell you what was going on. I thought inside Linares had moments too. That's to me that's what made the fight great. They both had moments at mid range and outside distances. They both had moments inside. Linares was landing inside too. I'm not going to sit here and say that he was dominating inside, but there was a fair good portion of the time there where he was doing just fine on the inside and holding his own. And I think he did have better success whenever he wasn't putting himself in danger to get, kind of picked apart by what Lomachenko was throwing. But it was a solid fight from both guys, and I think it was reflected on the cards at one. Whenever the fight was stopped, one judge, from what I was seeing, had Linares ahead. One had Lomachenko ahead, and one had it a draw.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that was maybe a lot more indicative of what was actually happening than the way ESPN called the fight.
Was that Gabe Jr. coming in to give us a technical breakdown there?
Yeah, the boys have got some little buddies over, so they're all outside playing basketball and coming in and out. So you may hear the door opening and closing, and me throwing a fit and yelling at them to get the fuck
out. No problem. We'll keep an ear out for that. Right, talking of big hitters, Donny Baseball's on the call. Donny, a pleasure to have you on. How did you have it at the time of the stoppage? Did you believe that Linares was ahead, Lomachenko maybe a draw? The judges had it either way.
I had Lomachenko ahead by a couple of points. The knockdown, I remember, shifted my card and put him back into the fight, and then I had him taking at least one of the rounds after that part of the stoppage. So I wasn't really scoring it like a judge. I was actually trying to get ready to go out, but I did watch the entirety of the fight, and I thought it was spectacular. Really, Linares is the one that I'm assuming that it's going to be a while before we can get that Garcia fight. I really wouldn't mind seeing a rematch with Linares. That was a close competitive fight, and probably the stiffest test that Lomachenko's really ever had in his entire professional career that we've gotten to see. And I don't know how much further the guy can move up. He was already outsized in that ring last night to begin with. And I know now he's talking about, he said, I don't even know if I'm going to stay at lightweight or what. So, it's just, it's amazing what he can do in it with such a minimum, of a professional career like that. It's such a short professional career, like what he's done and all these weights he's been able to go up, and he goes up to the weight and he just takes out the top guy like it's nothing. No, I shouldn't say like it's nothing. It was a competitive fight in there, but just to go up and to knock out the lineal champ at the weight, in your first fight at the weight. That's what a huge statement. There's nobody I don't think that can touch this guy except for Garcia, who I think has he has the tools to beat him. I think the Garcia Lomachenko is probably. Pardon?
I don't think so. I think he's got that quit in him. He's got that quit in him, Garcia. I believe that Lomachenko would make him quit. He would definitely. I think he would stop him as well.
I don't think Garcia would quit. I'm not sure about that now.
Well,
I don't think that at all. And I don't even know
just on the weight issue, Donny, just before you finish up there, see, I don't know how true it was. I seen two comments last night about the rehydration weights, but it was perceived that Linares rehydrated to 157, and Lomachenko came in at between 144 and 147.
Yeah, he looked like he had about 10 pounds on him. Those were all through the grapevine type comments. I don't think I saw any unofficial weights on there last night. Did you? I didn't see it on the broadcast.
No, I don't think they give out unofficial weights in New York.
Oh, that's right.
Or rehydration weights.
Yeah, because of the lawsuit from Joey Gamache, but way back in the
Fucking
day.
Asshole.
Yeah, that's when it was alleged, anyways, that Arturo Gatti came in over.
Fucking alleged. Of course he did. Look at the size of him, man.
Yeah. So he came in. I think he weighed in about 150 pounds for a 130-pound fight, and Gamache was small to begin with, and so I guess he got really badly fucked up by that. And so that's ever since then they don't give out the weights in New York. So yeah, we can only go off of rumors. but to me, anyways, he looked to be about 10 pounds larger. Yeah, I don't know where you're getting the thing about Garcia being a quitter. I mean, he's never shown any shades of that. Except I know what you're going to say. Maybe
Oh,
when
what?
he fought Salido and he, was well ahead on points after knocking him down 6 times. And I mean, I think though that was partially that was his that was what's his name, the trainer Garcia.
Robert.
Yeah, Robert Garcia. And that was basically, he was the one, I think, that kind of, he's like, oh, ref, look at that cut. I don't know. I mean, I felt like, yeah, you're right. Mikey was okay to go along with it. But I mean, yeah, that's kind of, they were just sort of basically like, why would we want to keep fighting when we have this fight already won? I mean, that was sort of the strategic move, really. I don't think that was, it was a dick move. It wasn't a bitch move, if you know what I mean. Like,
He seems to me, Donnie, like quite a spiky sort of character. He's got a bit of edge about him. I don't sense that he would quit under duress.
Me neither. Yeah, and I think he's too proud to do that. So yeah. Anyways, I was super impressed with the performance, and I wouldn't mind seeing a rematch because it's the stiffest test he's gotten. And if we can't get the Garcia fight, then that's that I think a rematch with Linares might be the second best thing there. And obviously the fans loved it. They had they were at the big room at MSG and they looked pretty well to capacity. I haven't read about that, but I mean, I think that the people there were definitely happy with what they saw and wouldn't mind seeing it again.
Yeah, regarding the rematch, I don't think that it would be the same fight. I think Lomachenko would maybe stop him quicker. Sometimes you get with those rematches, the first fights are very competitive, and one guy sort of definitively wins, and then the second fight, the same winner takes him out more comprehensively, and I think that's what might happen. I think Linares has had his chance, and he wasn't able to follow through. Gabe, I know you want to say something else. Kopi9 has sent me a question on Twitter regarding what we were just talking about. He said, if Lomachenko beats Mikey, which of course forget about that. If Lomachenko beats Mikey, who else does he need to beat to be classed as a greatest of all time?
Wow, that's a little bit early to be giving him that kind of praise. He has a minimal professional career, some great hides on it, no doubt about it. Linares is a great hide to have. Rigondeaux is a good hide to have, despite the circumstances of that fight. The circumstances around Linares is incredible. He's got some good scalps on his record, but I don't think he's anywhere near all-time great. I mean, that's a little bit preposterous to think at this point of his career he could go there. But I mean, really, when you look at his resume, maybe the fight that he had over in China, whenever they were doing the cards in Macau, he fought Jesus, I can't remember who it was. It was a Mexican guy, I believe. That may be the lowest point on his career, though, in terms of recognizable names. And I think at the end of the day, that's what you always go with, is what's the most recognizable names. And he's got some great scalps, but I think he has a little ways to go before then. And I do think he would smash Mikey for what that's worth. Garcia
Smash?
Yeah, smash the fuck out of him. I mean, just pound him into oblivion. I mean, it may be somewhat competitive for a round or two, but Mikey Garcia gets outclassed at the end of the day because he's fighting nobodies. He's fighting protected fights, guys that have decent records that look good on paper, not guys that we know it to be the best competitors. I don't have a lot of well, I guess not respect is the good word, but I don't see the importance of the people that Garcia is fighting. I don't think his resume is as good.
They're PBC fighters that he's fighting.
What's that?
He's fighting PBC fighters or fighters aligned with Al Heyman.
Exactly. That's my point. It's guys that he's matched up with in a way so that he comes out looking good. Their records look good, but I mean, let's be honest. I mean, the last several fights he's fighting guys, and of course that's going back into the layoff. But he's fighting like Rocky Martinez. Rocky was a champion, but let's be real here. The guy wasn't that good. just the resume in general. I think he's a good fighter. I'm not going to say he's not a good fighter because he wouldn't make it through the things he's done in the way that he has if he wasn't good. But I don't think it's going to be that competitive for that long. I don't see it unless Garcia is just rehydrating up to 150 some odd pounds as well, which I believe he may be. But he runs his mouth about fighting Cotto for that last fight, and got offered it, didn't take it. So I think he's a lot of bark, not as much bite as he appears to have as the TV stations would like you to think he has.
A couple of new faces have joined us on the call. We're going to be going to Rob Kelly very shortly. Just before we do so, Adam Smido Smith, he's been winning in life and on the bookies all day today on the horse racing. Smido, what's the betting line regarding Linares, Lomachenko? Where was the value? Did you have any money on it?
No, I didn't. It ended up closer than the bookies would have had you think before, and I think Lomachenko was as short as 1-16. He was real short. But yeah, I just wanted to ring in, to be honest, Steve, because I'm basically at the exit door of boxing. I've hardly been watching any of it. But I've not seen a lot of fights this year, but this was easily the most enjoyable fight I've watched this year.
Did you watch it on Box Nation, Smido?
Yeah, I watched it this morning on Box Nation.
Still a subscriber then? Still a subscriber?
I am. It might not last long though. So yeah, I watched it this morning. Even the missus was watching it and commenting as well. I just wax lyrical about Lomachenko every time I see him. I thought it was a fantastic fight. I thought Linares deserves all sorts of credit. He really, really does. He's been on a bit of a roller coaster in his career as well. He's obviously took some losses along the way. Probably towards the back end of his career now, but I thought it was a fantastic performance from Linares. I really did. Obviously, he tried as best as he could to stick to a decent game plan, which I think he did, particularly in the first 4 rounds. I thought he landed a few right hands that I think Gabe mentioned it earlier. Wasn't getting the recognition for on the ESPN commentary team with Tim Bradley. I thought Linares was doing really well, and I was, sitting up in my chair thinking, "Wow, he's taking rounds off him here, even if it would only be 2 or 3 rounds," which was great. It was good to see. And then just when we thought Lomachenko in the 5th and 6th was coming, to take over the fight, boom, perfect right hand down the middle, and down he goes. I thought when I first seen it, I was watching the replay and thinking he might be off balance, maybe have 1 foot in the air, but definitely wasn't. He was certainly coming forward, but yeah, obviously got caught with a great shot, and down he went. Got up pretty quickly. Possible lack of experience, maybe we would normally attribute to someone over here if we saw him do that, but obviously you can't put lack of experience and Vasil Lomachenko in the same sentence. And then he just come back, and I think that Linares' tank was clearly emptying in the 10th. I said that, and like I said, I didn't know the result. I said that to the missus. I said his tank's emptying badly here. And then when he went down, as you guys have alluded to, pretty innocuous. At the camera angle we was looking at, I kind of wondered what happened. Thought it might have been exhaustion, but obviously on the replay, fantastic body shot, and fight was done. And like you said, Steve, he got up. But yeah, he didn't complain when the ref waved it off, and he, in that, like you said, it's kind of a split-second decision. He's absolutely everything. I mean, despite him losing, it's probably the best I've ever seen Linares, especially given the opponent he was up against. I honestly thought he was that good. But yeah, you're just there and you're thinking, I've given it absolutely everything for 10 rounds. It was reasonably close on the cards. Obviously, he wasn't to know that at the time, and what more do you do? He was getting peppered in that 10th, especially, the hooks up top round the corner. His head was starting to get bashed about a bit, and obviously finished him with the body shot. But I think with Lomachenko, a lot of his fights going forward, if he stays at this weight or even higher, is going to be entertaining by definition, because he's got disadvantages in the departments of size, reach, and natural power. It's going to make it interesting and entertaining, because you're going to see the master boxer against either a brawler or the guy with the size or whatever. It is going to be interesting going forward. And you've just got a hats off to him. Lost his second fight in controversial circumstances. I think Andy alluded to it. Has gone up in weight. He's taken on the top kiddies at that weight. Knocked him out in general. Moved up again. lineal champ at lightweight, knocked him out. I mean, it's amazing what he's doing. 30 years old, obviously really long amateur career as well. How far can he go? The Mikey Garcia fight's the one, obviously, and I would be in the camp of Lomachenko there. Skybet have actually priced that up. They go 1-4 Lomachenko, 11-4 Garcia, which I think has raised a few eyebrows on Twitter. I saw Tom Craze talking about that earlier. I won't argue with him.
Smido, here's a fight that people are sleeping on. Matthew Macklin earlier was proposing to build the fan base.
Yeah.
What about Anthony Crawler against Lomachenko? Makes sense, Smid.
Yeah.
I've seen that. That's horrendous. For fuck's sake.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it was full in the Garden last night, but they sold a fair few tickets for a Venezuelan against a Ukrainian. With a fellow called Saddam Ali on the undercard. It's not too bad going.
No, Saddam Ali was headlining his own card across in New York. Yeah,
apologies. But yeah, I'm not expert enough to know where he would go next. Obviously, Mikey Garcia is the obvious one. But what other viable options are out there, Steve?
Well, I would like to see him fight Gervonta Davis, but obviously promotional issues, Floyd's erratic nature and stuff.
No way Davis takes that fight. No way. I just can't. I can't see it. I really can't. He's too good. He's too good, isn't he?
Well, yeah, I mean, but he's got to fight somebody, hasn't he? I mean, I suppose we're looking up at 135. How high does it, or even 140? Sorry, how high does he have to go?
Well, it's shown the appetite to keep moving, and his arms looked bigger last night. I said that virtually as soon as the first bell went. I thought that. I know that's an obvious observation to make, given he's going up in weight, but yeah, he did look a bit chunkier, Lomachenko, but it was clear that Linares was much bigger than him, obviously.
Maybe.
Go on.
I was going to say maybe. I mean, I know it sounds nuts, but what if him and Crawford met at like 144 or something like that?
Crawford was there last night.
I'm going to come to Crawford in a minute. Finish up with what you're saying, actually, Smido, because I'm going to come to Crawford.
That's pretty much me done, and that's reasons why I've not 100% fell out of love with boxing, because I can put that on this morning, and even though I'm watching on a time delay replay, I was absolutely mesmerised by it, to be honest.
No problem. Yeah, Rob, I'm going to come to you on this, actually, because this has been something I've been thinking about for a while. And the ESPN commentary team were talking about Lomachenko possibly being the number one pound-for-pound fighter. Tim Bradley seemed to think that it was possibly Crawford. But I'm going to disagree with that, to be honest, because now I'm just going to qualify this, Rob, by saying I think Crawford is an excellent elite fighter with all the skills, and I could see him beating the likes of a Spence or somebody like that. But it's all conjecture at the moment, because I'm going to shit to a certain extent on Crawford's resume. As great a fighter as he is, right? I looked down his record comparable to Lomachenko's record. And what's the best win for Crawford, would you say, Rob? Talking Postol, talking Julius Indongo. I mean, we're looking at the likes of Gamboa, maybe a weight or two too high. Like I say, Crawford, multi-skilled fighter, does it for me on the eye test, but the resume doesn't hold up in comparison to Lomachenko. Tell me if I'm right or wrong. Rob Kelly.
He's unmuted himself. You can't hear him if he's talking.
Steve, I'm not going to answer the question as such, but I just think you've made an excellent point.
I've just been thinking it for a while now. Are you there, Rob? No, I'll tell you what, we'll try and get Rob on. Donnie, I believe you've unmuted yourself. What do you think?
Oh, just that... Yeah, no, you're 100% right. And I'll to be clear, though, I think Bradley had said I have Crawford at number one right now, but if Lomachenko wins tonight, he'll go to number one. So,
okay, fair enough, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't think he was saying he was still, especially after this win, the number one pound for pound. Yeah, I've seen people rank Crawford lower on the the pound for pound top 10 than, some people have him at 1, 2, 3. Other people have him at 4, 5, 6, which I think is, I mean, you could make the argument, like you said, that, Gamboa was above his best weight. Indongo wasn't really that good or whatever. But at the end of the day, I mean, the guy did collect 2 lineal, titles at 2 weights.
And I respect that, but contextually speaking, against Lomachenko's resume, plus Lomachenko's amount of fights ratio to Crawford's fight ratio, like I said, I believe that Crawford is everything that everybody says he is, Donnie. But at the moment, the resume doesn't quite stack up for me.
Yeah, no. I mean, there's no argument there. I mean, but he could only, I mean, he cleaned out those weights, yeah, but he could only fight his at the weights. But that's why he's moved up to take bigger challenges, and I think that his resume will get there. But you're right. At this point, I think you're 100% correct.
That's what I like to hear. Rob, are you with us? You there, Rob?
Steve, is he there? Go on, Rob.
We seem to be having a bit of trouble getting Rob. He was on last night on our Patreon special Fury against Sexton Smido, but we can't hear him tonight, unfortunately. He's dropped off the call. Not sure what's going on there, Smid. Go ahead.
I've just got one final point. I've not seen this fight, and I'm making it my duty over the next few days to watch it. Gary Russell Jr. Majority decision loss to Lomachenko. Firstly, what disgraceful decision?
Disgraceful scorecard to give that a majority decision. Yeah.
Right, fair enough.
I don't agree with the draw, Smid.
Yeah, I mean, the headline makes it look close to people like me who've not seen the fight. But yeah, so my first point was how good's Gary Russell Jr. Andy's just answered that via a disgraceful card. But what the fuck has he done since 2014 when he lost to Lomachenko? That's 4 years ago.
I actually think Russell's excellent, but the problem is he only fights once a year and he doesn't fight anybody. He has the potential to be an excellent fighter, Russell. He has all the tools. He's very, very fast and he fought well against Lomachenko. Don't let the scorecard sway you completely. It wasn't a draw. That's bullshit. But he gave Lomachenko a decent argument early on with his speed, but it is just completely grossly inactive. Yeah,
and it's a shame because with some of the guys moving out of featherweight and going northwards, Russell Jr. is still there, potential for him to boss that division if active.
Right, okay, let's get Aussie in on Lomachenko Linares. Nothing else on the undercard that really takes my interest, so I'm just going to delete that off the page. Aussie, go ahead. I'm sure there's not much you can add that hasn't already been said, but tell me what your key observations were.
Well, it was thoroughly enjoyable and a fight between two top class fighters and one that produced all the goods, really. Really impressed with Lomachenko. He showed he is human. He hit the deck. I'm not sure how hurt he was. I thought he got up quite quickly. Seemed to recover reasonably well. But the way he brought Linares down, I was very impressed with. I thought he dealt with the size quite well of Linares as well. It wasn't. I think what you can take from it is that perhaps against, like, say for example, the Mikey Garcia fight, he will pose him different problems there. I think Garcia could beat him, to be honest. But again, that'll be a brilliant fight I want to see. But no, overall, I was really impressed with Lomachenko. I think he's an unbelievable talent and one that I think everybody should appreciate. He's got. I mean, I like Linares as well, and I thought he showed some real good things, and he did better in the fight than I thought he would, to be honest. I mean, I think I saw some of the scorecards they were released. Was it basically it would have been a draw had had the fight ended or something like? Would it?
Yeah.
I think
one had it equal, Aussie, and the other two had it 86-84 each way.
Yeah, so it shows how good a fight it was, and like I said, I probably didn't give Linares enough credit. Last week, I thought I didn't think he'd really be. I thought he posed the odd problem, but I thought, to be honest, it would be relatively comfortable for Lomachenko. But it was far from it. And overall, it was an excellent fight. And to be honest, I wouldn't mind seeing that again. You do wonder if Linares lost his trainer in the build-up. Did that pose any problems? I'm not too sure. He put in a performance he can be proud of. Lomachenko, I think he's looking at Ray Beltran next. I think that'll be comfortable for him. And then I think after that he's looking at. I think I saw something about Robert Easter Jr. as well. So you can't fault the guy. He's looking to fight the best in the division where possible.
Easter, Aussie, sorry to interrupt you, is believed to be signed to fight Mikey Garcia in around August time. I heard.
Right, okay then. All right.
Or it's close to sign. Sorry, the talks have gone on. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't mind seeing that later down the line. Then the winner of Garcia and Easter Jr. in with Lomachenko, because it'd be for all the belts. Then something that you can't disagree. Like I think everybody wants to see, and ultimately, if it can lead to Lomachenko and Garcia, then who doesn't want to see that?
Rob, you there? Rob's been silenced, man. He's been censored. What's going on? He's disappeared again. Here, Donny, Richard Swiggs got in touch regarding our conversation. He says, Steve, I'm following late, but Crawford is the real deal. No fighter has as much variation and flexibility as he does. Again, wouldn't disagree with any of that, but I need to see it against top-level opposition before he can displace some of the other guys at the top of pound for pound. Sorry, who wants to carry on?
Well, I was just going to say, I mean, the only thing is with Lomachenko is that I think in the future, I think for all of us, it's like the guy is a victim of his own incredible success. It's like we can only name like a handful of fights, and really only two, I think, that we'd be really interested in seeing. I mean, it's like he's so good that unless he fights the best guys, like there's just no contest. I mean, it doesn't. I mean, are you interested in watching him fight Ray Beltran? Like, I could totally see myself like forgetting to even record that fight, right? Like, let alone watch it live. Because I mean, I know what the outcome is going to be. I mean, it's just like, I mean, you have to, if you're watching the fight, maybe you're just watching it from an artistic perspective, and you want to just see, what he does to get rid of these guys. But the outcome is already a foregone conclusion. It's going to be. I think it's going to be very hard for him to hang on to fans if do you know what I mean? Like, I mean, that people aren't going to be interested in anything except the most challenging fights.
No, I completely know what you mean. Sorry, Donny. Right, we're trying to get Rob on. We've lost Smido, unfortunately. I think we'll move on, actually. Just a couple of pointers from the weekend. Avni Yildirim getting a win over in Germany over Ryan Ford. So the return of Mr. Robot. He's the WBC International Super Middleweight Champion. Devin Haney. I didn't actually did any of the Americans get to see this on Showtime? 18-0. Stopped Mason Menard, who's a good fighter. He retired in the 9th round. Anybody get to see that now? Devin Haney?
Never saw it, mate, no. But I heard he's looking really good, and I think is he not in the same weight division as... Well, he's been mentioning Lomachenko, not that much anyway.
He might be a possible future opponent, then you never know.
But I heard he looked pretty good, but could have or should have maybe stopped the opponent. I'm not too sure. I'll need to watch it, but...
Gabe, just for your information more than anything, Tony Harrison won a split decision over Ishai Smith on Friday night over in Sam's Town Hotel and Gambling Hall. Are you any more interested in these two?
I bet Smith said they got robbed.
Still not. I'm glad Ishai Smith lost. Maybe he'll lose a couple more times and finally decide to retire. I can't stand him. I hope he lost. What'd you say, a split decision?
Split decision, yeah.
Oh, Christ. No, I can't even begin to stomach what may have happened in that bore of a fight. I wonder how many people weren't there. They probably did attendance by how many tickets were unsold for a fucking fight like that.
Good stuff, Gabe. Well, let's move on to the other two big fights over the weekend. We'll go to the HBO card first of all. In Verona, New York. Ozzy, we'll start with you. Saddam Ali getting blitzed. Well, he wasn't really a blitzing, but it was more of a sustained beating. I don't know how on earth he made it to the 4th round against this Mexican beast, Jaime Munguia. Munguia, 28-0, bit of an unknown quantity coming from Mexico, big puncher. A lot of the internet bodies were starting to give him the push. He was supposed to be in line to fight Gennady Golovkin, the Las Vegas Athletic Commission said they weren't going to sanction that fight. So instead, they pushed him in at light middleweight here in place of Liam Smith, Aussie. And the guy was just absolutely huge. I don't know how he made the weight, but he clearly punches like an absolute rocket. Ali couldn't take the power. And I actually felt a bit sorry for Ali. I don't know why, but just taking those shots, it feels like he, as Errol Spence said, like he'd been set up almost.
Definitely, 100%. The size difference was an absolute joke. He looked like Munguia looked at. I'd probably say, I think it was fair to say he wouldn't have looked out of place at super middle. To be honest, he looked massive compared to Saddam Ali, who it was just it was a one-sided beatdown. And if you were tuning in for the first time and you would say which one's the world champion, you definitely want to say it was Saddam Ali, because he looked, in all honesty, he looked out of his depth against him. Right from the first round, he got dropped then. And after that, Munguia just used his size. I mean, I saw comments of like a couple of fighters were saying, no, he's very basic and just heavy-handed and stuff like that. And I'm thinking, what can fighters do these days to actually draw the plaudits? They have to put like a punch-perfect performance in, when in reality, he's just champion. and become a world champion himself. I mean, I didn't really know what to make him. I mean, to be honest, I'd never heard of the guy until he was mentioned about fighting Golovkin. And I mean, you look at his record, and it's just built up of very little, to be honest. But he's obviously got ability. I mean, from Ali's side, you've got to look at it. Why the hell did they take this fight? Liam Smith, I know he pulled out, but he said he'd be ready in, I think, basically 3 weeks' time. So in terms of postponing it, that could have easily happened, even 4 weeks' time. And yeah, it looks like he's been set up now. And Liam Smith's task of becoming a two-time world champion has just got a lot harder. It'd be interesting to see where it happens. Obviously, they'll have to look a deal. Is he backed by a promoter, this guy? This Munguia? I'm not too sure. Like,
Isn't Loeffler involved somewhere on the underskirts, I think?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you would think so, perhaps, because he... I mean, for him to be touted as like some sort of like Golovkin opponent, you're not just going to look at this guy and think, oh, we'll pick him. But I mean, it looks a bit silly, really, that he was rejected as an opponent now, and he's just gone and blasted out the 154 champion. I understand it was the weight above, but no, he a very, very impressive performance, and one that it's another welcome addition to the 154 division. Not really sure what Ali will do now. I thought, like I said, it was difficult for him. He isn't a 154 anyway. He came up to the weight to fight Cotto, got the win, an unexpected win, I think it's fair to say, and in reality, the size just proved too much. So I wouldn't be shocked if we saw him back down at 147, and I think next time we'll see Munguia as potentially in with Liam Smith.
Yeah, managed by his father, Mr. Munguia, and he is
no chance of Liam Smith fighting him.
No, I wouldn't have thought so. I wouldn't go anywhere near him. He's promoted by Zanfa Promotions, which is a Mexican-based promotional company founded by Fernando Beltran. Andy, putting that to one side, Max Kellerman kept on harping on the point last night, and Roy Jones got it spot on, I thought. As soon as it was in the first round or maybe early in the second, Roy said, this fight's over. And I'm sure you're the same as me. You could see what Roy could see. This fight was definitely over. Max kept saying, the only reason I can see them prolonging this is because of Ali's punch power and his ability to get back into the fight.
That was weird. That was weird.
What?
What punch power is he talking about? I mean, listen, let's be honest here. I was happy when Ali won the title, but we need to be honest. That was a faded and injured Miguel Cotto, and he had to go to the deepest bowels of his soul to win that fucking fight. I've seen Monunga once, and believe it or not, actually, it wasn't that long ago. I'm sure it was his last fight against a guy called Navarrete. I'm sure it was third round knockout, and I was when I heard him get mentioned for Golovkin, I'm like, okay, he's big, but there's no fucking way he's going to fight Golovkin. There's just, he's just no seasoned enough. But just, I say to you guys during the week that I said, look, I think Manunga's going to win this. I actually thought he might have won it by decision, because that's how much I actually kind of respected Ali, kind of like, durability. But it just, as you say, he got wore down pretty quick. I think the referee was looking to stop that fight around about the second round. If you look at the second knockdown, actually, he looked like he was gone then, and he tried to get back up on that. He was actually kind of falling, staggering back over himself, trying to get back up. The referee was in the corner saying, look, listen, you need to show me something. And, unless you're like a kind of casual observer, if you're looking at that, you say, well, why is he giving him a hard time? Because he's getting his fucking arse kicked, that's why. I just felt the referee was really, really begging and praying to try and pick a spot here to stop that fight.
He was trying to beg the doctor, wasn't he? The doctor wasn't having any of it. He was bloodthirsty.
I was just coming to that actually as well. The doctor, he's fine. And just when it was at the fourth round, when the left hook landed and that, when he dropped like a sack of shit, you could just say, like, okay, that's my chance. It was a bit like Chris Adulu against Lebedev and Guillermo Jones in the first fight. He just like when he got a chance to stop the fight, he just took it. But it was the right call actually. I was absolutely shocking. It's a bit of an upset actually as well when you think about it. But great performance. I don't expect him to be champion for long, because he's far too big for the weight. I think he's going to have to move up to middleweight at some point. Liam Smith, I think, obviously, there was one point he mentioned, I think he tweeted it last night about Ali or something. It's clear that he badly wanted that fight against Ali, because
he'll probably still end up fighting Ali for like an intercontinental title or something.
Well, it wouldn't surprise me if we see Marungo actually vacate the title, move up in weight, and him and Ali get to fight for the vacant title. You know,
Yeah,
it's just
yeah,
sort of
exactly. Munguia has like the touch of the David Benavidez about him, I think. You know, the way he carries himself and the size.
Aye. I think we'll see him try and drain himself as long as possible at that weight. I mean, let's be honest. You know, I've said this many times before. There's like a lot of fighters, or there's some fighters who actually transcend world titles and belts and stuff. Manungu isn't one of those guys. That makes him a payday. So I think he's got to do everything possible to keep making the weight until he can get another title shot to then go up to 160. But that for him at the minute, yeah, it's, you know, I'm happy for the guy. You know, it's good to see. And it's been interesting to see who's wanting to fight up next. I seen Hurd calling him out last night, wanting to pin a.
That would be a battle of the beasts, wouldn't it?
I would like to see that fight, mate. That's two monsters at that weight. I mean, both are fucking mutants at that weight. Get that made next. I'm up for that one. Like Jarrett Hurd against was it, how do you pronounce his first name? Is it Yami?
Jaime Munguia, I think.
Jaime. It's like Jamie or something like that. Jaime Munguia, but I get they two and next if we're not going to get to see Charlo against Hurd. I want to see Hurd and Munguia next if we can get Charlo.
Yep, a new player has appeared at the weight. We hear about corners and fighters being too brave for their own good, but there's a doctor who's too brave for the fighters' welfare, which is a bit of a new one on me. A fight that I could not find for love nor money on the undercard, Rhaegar Vargas extending one of the most meaningless runs in world boxing. I don't know if I speak for everybody there. 31-0 now.
Yes, you do.
Defeating Azat Hovhannissian. Eric Marlinski had it 116, 112. Kevin Morgan 118, 110. Expert judge Don Trella Senior even 117, 111. You couldn't get it either, Andy?
I didn't watch it, mate. I mean, it was just like about yourself. I woke up this morning, I checked the result, and Vargas, I bet he goes the distance, and then boom, yep. So ever since he's went up to world title level, all his fights have went the distance. It's just, I don't know if there's something, if there's an issue there. Is it, you know, I mean, I wouldn't say Gav McDonald was world class or world level, but he's going distance with him. So I don't know what it is. Maybe he's just leading them a wee bit too much in the gym. Maybe leaving a wee bit on the scales. Maybe that's what his problem is. I really don't know. But I haven't seen the fight, so I can't really kind of comment on it. But it doesn't kind of really make me want to watch him. Put it that way.
Doesn't set the world on fire, no, not at all. I completely agree with that. I'll bring in Gabe. Yeah, he seems to have a lot of back acne as well, Vargas. I suggest if he's up to any nefarious deeds, then he should keep. I hope he kept the receipt. We'll come to Gabe in a minute. Let's go to Donny. Anything on this card, this other New York card that interested you, Donny?
Didn't watch it.
Okay, no problem. Gabe, you ready to roll on this one?
Yeah. I thought the first fight, the Hovhannissian fight, was just sloppy. Hovhannissian is sloppy. He's fun to watch, I think, at certain points, but he was fighting a guy that was so tall and long that it was hard for him to land enough to really do damage. Like, I think he's a hard hitter. I think he looks to land leather, and he's definitely not afraid to take some punches. But I just think it was a little bit of a mismatch with the style of the guy he was fighting. And so from my perspective, I thought, it was about as good a scrap as it could be. I mean, you're not talking about the Lomachenko and Linares fight here. I mean, these are two guys that do have some skill. Obviously, they wouldn't be there otherwise, but I don't think it was as big a fight as or good a fight as anything else that we saw last night. And then the Ali fight, I got to give credit to Saddam Ali. He was looking so small in the ring, and he still came in, and he was still trying to fight, still trying to land punches. Like, he was never to a point where he was cowering down in that fight. The son of a bitch has balls.
100%, yeah.
I was glad to see that. I was glad to see a guy who's not going to cower down, not going to, back up, and who's not going to sit there and take it like they were trying to give it to him. Fucking shame on Golden Boy for that pile of shit. I think maybe we need to get Jarrell Miller to go smash around on Oscar for a little while. I just thought that was horrible matchmaking.
Do you think Jarrell Miller would have the power to hurt Oscar?
Probably not. Let's just go full-fledged. Fuck it. Let's just get Anthony Joshua to do it. you know, maybe be about the same as what was going on last night. I mean, to me, that was kind of a disgusting match that they made up. They knew, you know, you're a promoter, you know that kind of thing is going on. I have no idea why they'd put Saddam Ali in a spot like that to really be in, you know, in a long-term dangerous position. You know, God forbid that he would have win another round. I mean, he was getting punished every time the guy landed. He was going to Queer Street.
It was awkward watching his old man at ringside. I thought that it was sad.
Yeah, it was. I really didn't enjoy seeing the fight because it was such a gross mismatch. I mean, you know, shame on the state of New York Commission for letting that go on too. There has to be some kind of something done about that kind of bullshit. I mean, you know, Golden Boy was wrong to let that happen. Number one, there, you know, Oscar, when that whole thing started, he was a fighters promoter. You know, he looked out for fighters. Now he's just about lining up people, getting titles, and protecting Canelo from punishment. And that was just, I can't say enough things about it. I could really go on a tirade and really lash out on this one, but I think it's fair enough just to say that I was pretty disgusted by Golden Boy for putting that fight on, and for the New York Commission for allowing it to go on. That doctor, you know, was, I guess, in the right mindset as far as letting the fight go on, as long as Ali kept fighting back. But it was clear to see that he wasn't going to win that fight, and he wasn't going to, you know, make any kind of miraculous comeback. But, you know, I give Saddam Ali tons and tons of credit for the way he handled himself. And he kept throwing punches, and he was stinging him with some shots. I mean, he was landing some heavy punches. You know, I think if we were at real 154 fighters or 147, if the opponent was anyone else around those two weight classes, he would have been hurt, possibly put down. But there was one point where he landed a punch, a beautiful clean, I think it was a left hook, and it was like he hit a goddamn brick wall. It hit the guy's chin. The guy's head didn't even fucking move. And Ali's hand just kind of stopped right whenever it hit him. I mean, it was ridiculous. You know, but aside from my, you know, disdain for that fight period, as far as how gross it was, fair play to Saddam for going in on that one. I was pretty good to see that. But the whole card last night kind of stunk. And I'll just be real honest with you. HBO sucks ass. They suck. They're horrible. They put on terrible fights, terrible cards. The only thing of any interest has been the Superfly stuff. And I'm hoping that we'll get to see the rematch later on with Estrada and Rungvisai, because I'm a pretty big Estrada fan, so that would be good for me. I'd like to see that one. I don't know that it goes much different the second time around, but aside from the Superfly cards, they haven't done shit lately. And I mean, they used to be one of the greatest channels that put on consistently good boxing cards, and they've just gone to shit, you know. So fuck HBO and Max Kellerman and Jim and the whole gang, and especially the guy who's running the ship over there. They need to get somebody that knows what the fuck is going on.
Yeah. Okay, let's try and get Rob in. He has changed his login details. Rob, you there?
Yo.
Yeah, we can hear you now. Perfect, Rob. Not quite sure what's going on, but we've got you, man. We've moved on to Ali Munguia. You can talk about that, but I am more interested in getting your opinion on Lomachenko Linares. How did you see it, Rob?
Well, first of all hail the triumphant return of Rob Kelly, because that was hairy. I don't know what was going on, but thank God I'm a tech genius. No, man, listen, that fight, I am buzzing today after that. Like that, the fight is there to be celebrated. If you didn't enjoy that fight last night as a boxing fan, you don't know what you're watching. Because look, I'm a big Linares fan, always saying it on the podcast, had him top 5 pound for pound in the world. But like I was even saying a couple of hours before the fight, I didn't see him standing a chance to sit on the live commentary last night. Like I said last week, I didn't see him winning a round, but my God, was I wrong. Like I did say though that he had when we were saying in the group chat, I thought he might try and counter him like he did with Ira Terry. and he ended up countering him. And then I said he might hit him with a cannon to the body later on. But I didn't expect the fight to play out like that. Like, it was absolutely sensational. Like, and Linares, I said last week, like, I thought Linares believed he was at that level. He had an attitude about him in the build up to it. Like, all right, you guys think this fella's this. Well, I'm Hughy and Linares, and I'm this. And like, I don't know if he studied him extensively, which I'm sure he did, like look at tape of him, or he's just that good at adapting. But that counter for the knockdown, like, I don't know if people know how good that is, but like, Lomachenko does this thing that like Linares kind of worked out in the first 4 rounds, where he paused with the lead jab, pause up with it while he's maneuvering away. So while he's getting his pirouette, he paused up with the jab, and he's kind of, and like Linares starts stepping around with him, and for the knockdown, Loma just went to paw that jab out, and he just stepped back, bang, straight down the pipe. Lovely shot. And I think Loma's really good at disguising when he's hurt, because in the 9th round, he kind of caught his attention again with a left right. But like, look, huge credit to both guys. Lomachenko is simply brilliant. Like, he's absolutely brilliant. He's sensational. He's everything that we say he is. He showed it last night. He got up off the deck, sickening body shot, absolutely sickening body shot to finish Linares, who was right in the fight. I had it Linares up by 1 round. Depends on how you score the second round, but even if you don't give him the second round, you give him like, you'd have it even, I reckon, or maybe 1 round either way. But nobody would have expected him to do that to Lomachenko. Huge credit to Linares, like, to box like that against a guy like that. And I know he's bigger, and that's what made it interesting. Honestly, you know, size played a huge factor in it too. But like, absolutely brilliant from both of them. And just put Lomachenko on a bigger platform now. Like, everybody's going to be talking about him. You know, he's beat the bigger guy. He's finished him like that. Like, and it's not just, you know, and I get what you're saying about the resumes. Like, that's Jorge and Linares. And I think even us at times we've been a little bit, well, we're calling it like we see it. I looked at his last few fights, and I thought that version of him wouldn't be able to cause Lomachenko any problems. But I think we said, you know, his resume is devoid of a big win against a big name, but that performance against Lomachenko puts his stock up for me, because I thought that, you know, he matched Lomachenko at times. Like, you know, Joe Gallagher would have been delighted last night. He was doing the old shoe shine. Like, we actually hit Lomachenko with a 5-punch combination. Now, who the fuck can do that? Like, you know what I mean? So he's a high-level operator too. And a technically brilliant fight from both of them. And I'm absolutely buzzing after watching. I'll probably watch that fight like 100 times. And the knockout finish, I mean, I was just thinking, I know we talked body shot knockouts on here before, like, but that's up there with some of the best of them. Like, and I thought Linares did well even to get to his feet. And I know people kind of shit on me early doors when I said after the Rigo fight like that Lomachenko has to move up, but only because it makes the fights competitive, because that's the only thing you got going against them. Like, you have got to have size. Like, Linares' technique last night, he's hooking off the jab and everything. Like, not everybody's going to be able to do that to him. So that's why I wanted him to see him against Linares. I think Mikey will cause him big problems with sheer size. He's brilliant at hooking off the jab as well. He's very accurate, and he's going to be even bigger than Linares. I would put Mikey I think Mikey would dwarf Linares. Like, so I think he'd be much, much bigger than Lomachenko. And that's that's the biggest test out there for him. And that's the one I want to see. I don't know if it's going to happen. I heard Aaron saying last night that he thinks Mikey's style of negotiation is going to put him out of the mix straight away. But I've heard Robert Garcia before, and they're fully convinced that Garcia could beat Lomachenko. Like, so it's a fight I want to see. And I think this makes, like, Lomachenko's one of those guys, like, he's what you want, like, isn't it? The ESPN, who were absolutely fucking atrocious last night, absolutely abysmal. Joel Tessitore shouldn't be anywhere near in 2018. If they've got that big platform, that fight's going out, beamed out to millions of people, an absolutely brilliant advertisement for the sport, and the insight was practically non-existent. And Bradley had to keep reminding the two of them, Linares is in this fight, by the way. You know what I mean? You're running out the commentary. You think like it was 4 rounds apiece or whatever, maybe a slide round, whatever. Either way, like, but anybody with eyes could see it was a close fight. Like, you can't say, like, even Bradley. They were running on about the red pill, the blue pill. He's the red pill. He's the blue pill. And Bradley was like,
that was that Kriegel cunt. That's who that was. That Kriegel.
He's trying to be the new Teddy Atlas, isn't he, Kriegel?
Yeah. And Bradley's like, yo, Linares is having a good round here. And the man's like, you think so? Like, patronising Tim Bradley, a fucking elite level welterweight fighter, world champion, fought the best, like, had some fucking outstanding, and you're going to turn around and say to him, really? Yeah, really? Who did you know what I mean? Can you not see he's catching him with the right hand, and he's in the fight, like, he just decked him, you know what I mean? So I don't know. That was atrocious. I think ESPN should do better. Like, they got to get rid of that panel. Like, how can you sell the sport of boxing with Joe Tessitore and that Krieger guy giving insights? And Bradley's like, you know what I mean? He feels like he got nowhere to go. Like, you can tell he's like, it's a stitch up or something. Like, but I'd like to see them replace that regime. But that's one negative on a night of positives for the sport. Absolutely, without a doubt. Now you could say, it's between him and Crawford for the top of the pound for pound list. And I know he's done it against different opponents. I know he's done it quicker, and 2 gold medals in the Olympics qualifies him as having just as much experience. But the manner in which he's done it is what's going to kind of cement his legacy, I think, maybe over Crawford's. Like, and I love Crawford, and I will give Crawford the edge on achievements up until this point. When he was beating up Rigo, I didn't see that as a big victory for Lomachenko, because he's the younger, fresher guy with the same, if not more, level of talent, who's just bigger. You know what I mean? So I didn't see that as big a victory. But last night, like, absolutely unbelievable. Put the exclamation point on it as well, and showed a true champion spirit. Get up off the deck. I know it was a flash knockdown. He wasn't badly hurt, but he still got on a back foot for about 10 seconds after it to get his bearings. So he felt it, like, and to come through that and then answer it in the way he did was sensational.
Yeah, it was the perfect fight to watch in high definition, just watching the footwork, them trying to get on the outside of each other, trying to size each other up. I will agree with all of that. Rob, Ali against Munguia, did you see any of that?
Yeah, I saw the link that was presented somewhere today.
What do you reckon?
Yeah, I thought he was very good, man, Munguia. I haven't seen him before that. He's massive. I know I'm stating the obvious here, like, but he's like fucking King Kong for a light middleweight. Like, I could see whether we're going to put him in with Golovkin and make that as a fight. I know there's been some talk that Ali was kind of thrown to the wolves. It was like, look, you're waiting to fight Liam Smith, but you better fight this guy. You're not going to be back. So that's kind of sad for Saddam Ali, who worked himself into a good position, but I think he may have hit his peak. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think after the Vargas loss and everything, his win against Cotto is his moment. But I don't know, I can't see him going further in the sport than that. Munguia might be a new star of the show. I'd be happy to see him in with anybody. Like, I think he's a brute, like, isn't he?
Him against Jarrett Hurd, we were saying, Rob.
Oh man, 2 brutes together. Like, what a fight that'd be. Like, again, one for the. I'd like to see maybe. All right, let that one bubble a little bit. We don't really have to see that right now. We've only just seen Munguia his first breakout, like, TV fight, on the big stage, like, we're a relatively big stage, because HBO are on a drought at the moment. Really, it's gone for them. Like, they were banking on Kovalev, like Kovalev all world heavy. And obviously Golovkin and Canelo, like, and it's all just gone to shit, like, in the last year for them, like, hasn't it? Terrible. Like, that's a terrible headliner, really. But no, credit to Munguia. He came out, he wasn't one bit fazed by the Brooklyn crowd. He marched through him. Ali tried to stay in the fight, you know what I mean? But he was out of his depth, like, and he was taking a beating. So I was happy to see it end when it did. But yeah, watch Munguia against anyone. Give him one of the Charlos, give him Hurd, give him whoever, Lara. I'd watch him and Lara even. I think I'd watch him against anybody. He's based on that performance, he's a brute and a slugger, and maybe an injection of fresh blood for HBO.
Certainly, and McKetch has been in touch. He said if Smith doesn't fight Munguia, it's a horrible duck. Frank could definitely get him to England. Yeah, I think we're all agreeing with that. Just to remind everybody, you're listening to the Boxing Asylum Nuthouse podcast. Donnie's on the call. Andy's here with us as well. Gabe, Rob, Kelly, and Ozzy. Let's lead into the final fight of the weekend before we get on to the previews and a couple of questions, Bellews and all those type of things. It was obviously Hughie Fury against Sam Sexton. We'll just take a quick breather because Ben has sent us a bit of audio of him interviewing Mick Hennessy after the fight, talking about Sexton Fury, I believe, and also talking about Peter McDonough. So let's just have a quick listen to that while we all catch our breath here.
One more thing from tonight's card. We saw Peter McDonough get a draw, and he was visibly upset by the draw. I didn't get to catch all of the fight, so I can't really comment on what I think the scorecard should have been. But what did you think about the fight in general, and was he sort of right to be aggrieved by the decision?
I thought it was an entertaining fight. I thought Peter boxed well. I thought he had a real tough operator in front of him who come to win. He was 8-0. He was unbeaten. He was a well-built lad. And he come to fight, he come to win, he didn't want to lose. And I thought Peter boxed great. I thought, especially on the inside, when he was set up close and he was taking shots on his elbows and gloves, and he kept lifting his head with that uppercut and whipping in hooks from the side and then whipping in shots underneath. I thought at some point he was supposed to stop him, but I gave Peter, that fight, again, I thought it was a formality. I thought he won by at least 4 rounds. I have no idea what the ref was thinking. I don't know. I don't know what he done tonight. I don't know whether it's, in my opinion, whether it's incompetence or what it is. I don't know what it is, but British Boxing Board of Control really stop having to back up bad decisions like this, and they need to take responsibility, and they need to sit people down and find out what's going on here. Because from what I can see, in my opinion, they dig their heels in and they protect bad decisions. And I think it's all wrong. The boxing needs to change.
When you say they need to sort of, you mean there should be sort of some kind of a meeting where they call these people in and investigate it, or how can they resolve these issues or prevent them from happening in the future?
Look into it. And if a judge or a referee isn't capable or isn't qualified or hasn't got the knowledge to judge a fight properly, they shouldn't be judging fights.
Yeah. So fighters get called up quite easily if anything happens, and judges and officials they don't seem to get.
When does anything happen to them? Yeah. From what I can see, and I'm a proud licence holder for a long time, I feel like I've brought a lot to British boxing, but yet it's all one-sided. All they do, when they make these terrible, rotten decisions that are affecting people's livelihood, careers, everything, when they're making these decisions, do they get reprimanded? Do they get called up? No, they get backed up. They turn around and say, well, no, we agree with what he did, when no one else does. And there needs to be something that looks into the board. It needs to look in what's behind these decisions.
Hopefully they start looking into them, because fighters aren't going to stand for it, and like you say, maybe the promoters need to band together.
Everyone needs to speak out. I think everyone needs to speak out, and everyone seems to be scared that they're going to be brought up and they're going to be put in front of the board on Regulation 25, and they're going to be fined or they're going to get suspended, and everyone's scared of that. Everyone's scared to speak. They need to speak out, because for me, there's a lot of incompetence and a lot of rotten apples, and they need to be sorted out.
Fantastic. Well, it's been a pleasure speaking to you, Mick. All the best for the future. Take care.
Mick Hennessy going in on the British Boxing Board of Control there. Obviously, following on from the Hughie Fury Parker decision, he's there going on about this Peter McDonough fight. Didn't get a chance to see that. Although, Andy, we were commentating live on the main event, Hughie Fury against Sam Sexton. Fury needed to let his hands go. Now, I'm going to go on, not a bit of a rant as such, but I'm going to have my say in a minute. But first of all, to you, we agreed beforehand that Fury needs to let his hands go. He needs to look impressive in front of this domestic audience on Channel 5. And he pretty much did what he needed to do last night.
He did, mate. I think we said during the commentary and that, it's one thing, or I think we all me and you anyway, I think we agreed that we expected Fury to win it on points. And it just, it didn't do anything different really to kind of start the fight off with, but then obviously it was the fourth round, he just stepped in with a right hand, really badly hurt Sexton, actually pushed him up against the ropes and followed it up pretty well. And I think we said it as soon as it happened, and that when obviously I was kind of over hyperboling it a little bit last night as a bit of a troll, but we say that that's what he wanted to see. He wanted to see him go up through the gears. He did that, and he finished the fight in proper fashion. Okay, it's British level. It doesn't really matter. We've mentioned it before. If you are above that level, you deal with it, and that's what he did there last night. And you got to give him props, because he could have absolutely easily, fucking just won that fight on points. Did it on the jab, won it off the back foot, and just basically bored us out to sleep like he did for the last couple of fights. But no, last night he stepped in with the right hand, hurt Sexton, and like we expect, if you've got a guy hurt, you step in there and you finish him off, and that's what he done. So you got to give him a lot of respect there last night. I did notice I've mentioned about world title shots. That listen, guys, let's just behave here. Win the British outright and then go to European level, because at the minute title shots, the heavyweight division we all know is become shit. You've got political minefields all over the place. You've got Joshua Wilder trying to get fights made. You've got White, Pulev, IBF mandatories, WBA title shots, court orders for a Kendo and all that sort of shit. So let's just take it easy. Let's just get a few domestic title defences under your belt. Go for the likes of maybe Joe Joyce. I don't think he'll take that fight, actually, in all honesty. But just defend the British title. Just get in against the likes of I don't know. I don't know if Chisora would take the fight. David Price might take it. I don't suspect, would they do business with Frank Warren to get Daniel Dubois? Is he eligible now to fight for a British title? I'm not too sure, but but other than that, I think he's just stick where he is at the minute, rebuild, and then in a couple of years' time, go for another world title fight, unless you're chasing the cash, which everybody wants to get paid at the end of the day.
What Andy said there really just leads in perfectly to what I was going to say as well. Like I said, it's not really a rant, but I was talking to Dave Lee earlier because he sent me the IFL interview with Mick Hennessy, and I have no axe to grind with the Furies. I have no agenda. I like Mick, and this is just me saying what I see, but they're delusional. They paint Hughie as like this pariah of the world scene. He's too dangerous for the champions to speak of. The champions don't mention his name because he's irrelevant on the world scene at present. I mean, he may go on to be a very relevant world championship fighter, but this constant push towards world level is just reckless. Hughie is only like 23. Just let him breathe. He's British champion. Make a defence, push for the European title if you want to, but keep him active and let him mature against top competition. That's what I think. Don't try and shoehorn him in to like this gap that's been left by Tyson Fury's departure. He may well turn into a very good fighter. He has skills, but let him breathe. Mick talks like he's this proven world-class talent who's being suppressed by the man, by boxing politics. They're shutting down his chance at glory. Hughie got his shot at the WBO title because they worked the ranking system, which is perfectly fine. They're entitled to do that. Mick put up the cash. He bought Parker over. That's all fine. Fury didn't beat up a string of contenders to finally get a shot. He's never beaten anyone, remotely close to world level as far as I'm concerned. His record contains no names of any note. Give him a Takam. Let him defend against a Nathan Gorman, push him towards an eliminator if need be. But this narrative that he's like a Henry Akinwande type who is being grossly avoided, it's just false. He's not Marvin Hagler desperately knocking over world-class challengers while patiently waiting for a world title shot. The British title is perfectly appropriate for Hughie Fury at this point of his career. Win it, defend it. That's all he has to do at the moment. Like I said, I didn't want to go on a rant about this, but it's a false narrative. Ozzy, maybe you agree, maybe you disagree with what I said. What do you think?
I agree. And I think these days, a lot of domestic fighters seem to bypass like the British level and things like that. And they defend these fringe like IBF, WBO, WBA belts and against, like no mark opponents. I mean, I was looking at Hughie Fury's record then and whilst I do think he has talent, his record is exactly spot on. There's no real names on it. Andrei Rudenko, probably his best win. I mean, I was impressed last night. He dealt with Sam Sexton the exact way he should have done. And if he wants to be talking about going to European and world level, he needed to do what he did to Sexton. I thought he'd stop him. And it was quite an impressive stoppage as well. It was... But I mean, they talk about, Hughie's got power now. Let's get it right. Sam Sexton has, every fight he's lost, he's been stopped. However, it's a step in the right direction. And I agree. I've nothing against him seeing, go on, defend the belt a couple of times, and then move on. I don't see what the rush is for him. What is it? He's 23. What is the rush to get him in for a world title by the end of the year? More to the fact that he has no business being there because he doesn't deserve a shot. I know some fighters do it, and like you said, he's had his opportunity against Joseph Parker in his own backyard, if you were to say, and he didn't do anything. He blew it. It was a close fight, but at the end of the day, he didn't do enough in the judges' eyes to win the fight. And now they should rebuild. However, they obviously have faith in his ability, and they're on about taking him now for looking at eliminators and stuff like that. Well, if that's the case, then he will have to be fighting legit opponents for eliminators and things like that. Otherwise, you can't cheat those because obviously it's got to be sanctioned. So I don't really know. They want to step up, maybe look at Caballel for the European title. That'll be a massive step up for him. But for me, I'd rather see Hughie Fury defend the belt a couple of times, then look to move on. I don't see the need and the rush to get him in for a world title immediately, when in reality, I can't see Joshua or Wilder even entertaining him, more for the fact because what the hell does he bring to the table?
Yeah, agree with that. Donny, Gabe, I'm sure you guys aren't interested in this. Any comments?
None. He's done nothing. He's a bum.
That's Dave. You're channeling the spirit of hater Dave Lowe back there, Gabe.
Sorry, I think he's starting to rub off on me a little bit. You guys have nailed everything. There's nothing for me to add on this, just because of the fact that everything that you said is accurate. Everything that you said is true. There's no debate in anything that's been discussed on this podcast. And I'm sure there'll be people out there who dislike what we have to say about it. There always is somebody. But the truth of the matter is, it's accurate. He had his opportunity. He did nothing. Nothing. And if you can't see that, then you're probably the kind of guy that has Lomachenko winning that fight by 5 rounds last night, or 6 rounds. You know, I just don't understand.
Okay, let's move on to some of the action next week down in Australia. We're not going to dwell on this, but there are the Maloney brothers. There could be, I don't think they're any relation to Kelly, to be honest with you, but there could be ones to watch out for in the future. Jason Maloney is 16-0, a bantamweight, going in against Kohei Kono, a former Japanese fighter of some note. And Andrew Maloney, his brother, super flyweight, 16-0 as well. They're both in action, so keep an eye out for them. Let's move on, Donny, to the Air Canada Centre in Toronto. Adonis Stevenson defending his WBC title against Badou Jack. You put them in front of Adonis, he knocks them down. He's finally got a test of some substance. I actually think this could turn out to be a pretty damn fine fight, Donald. What do you think? Don't think Donny likes the sound of it, to be honest with you. What about you, Gabe? Stevenson against Jack? Does that float your boat?
Somewhat. I'm excited to see somebody that's got a pulse going against Stevenson, but I'm not so sure I like Badou Jack to be the guy to do it. No real disrespect from me towards Badou Jack, but it just, it doesn't do a whole lot for me. I'm just hoping to see someday Stevenson fight somebody of note and to get knocked out. Now, if I think Badou Jack can give us some trouble boxing wise, I don't know that he's going to have enough muster on his punches to sting him and hurt him. So I think that might be the downfall of Badou Jack in this fight. I'm not saying he's a feather fist or anything along those lines, but I think moving up and the size of Stevenson may make it a little bit harder for him to keep him honest and keep him on his toes. I just don't know how that'll play out. But I'm somewhat interested, much more interested than any Ishe Smith fight I've ever heard of.
Stevenson's obviously got the speed, Andy, the one-punch power. Jack is more of a grinder. He'll hit him to the body. He'll have good physical strength, and he'll be able to match him strength for strength. I think I make Jack a real live underdog. In fact, I might even go out on a limb and say I might pick Jack to win this.
I'm going with Jack. I say he's a favourite as well. Stevenson, I just don't know where he's at, actually. I mean, at some point he's going to come to an end. You know, he's going to become old overnight. I just think Jack's new in there and his physical peak, going up in weight, you know, the extra poundage, he's not going to have to shed it. He's not going to have to dehydrate himself as much. So it's going to be a big benefit for him. I wouldn't even be surprised actually if maybe he wins by stoppage. You know, he can be relentless. But again, at the same time, you know, even though Derek Edwards might have iced him in one round, and I know we can maybe erase or scrub that for the memory.
I think it's an anomaly, Andy. I really do.
But at the same time, you know, if Stevenson can still land that left hand, which I think he could, the power, will Jack take it? So, you know, I remember a couple of questions there, but I'm going to go with Jack. I think we could also maybe get quite a savage fight here. I think we can get a few knockdowns involved as well. And possibly, I'm going to go for maybe a fight of the weekend.
Yeah, it could well be, Rob. Jack is a live dog. Why is Stevenson taking this fight even at this point in his career? He's knocked down, you know, all the mandatories and he doesn't seem intent on fighting anybody, but he seems to fancy this Jack one. Why, in your opinion, is he so keen to take Jack and nobody else?
I think it's the punch, man. I think Adonis really sees a chance here with Jack having been knocked out before. And I know it was, I think I agree with both of you that it was, you know, it was a one-off. Like, it can happen to anybody. But the way he's recovered has been remarkable. He's put in some really good performances in his last few fights. He's kind of straight up and down, no special effects, as Floyd would say. His battle Jack about his own fighter. Like, he's not He doesn't do anything spectacularly, but he doesn't do anything that badly either. Like, his defense is kind of tight. He's got a good jab, good straight right hand. So I think he could, if he gets to Adonis first, he could cause him real problems. But if Adonis hits anybody, man, at 175, they're gonna feel it. Like, so depends on what kind of shape he's in at this age, as well as that his activity levels, as well as that his level of opposition that he's been facing. So there's a lot of big factors. Like, it's been a long time since Stevenson has a big name on his record, right? So is it Chad Dawson? Maybe is his last kind of big breakout win? Like,
would be, wouldn't it? Yeah,
long time ago. Like, so you know what I mean. We all know he doesn't want that smoke with Tony Bellew. So he's way out of fight Jack. No, I'd favor Jack, but I think Adonis is there to give anybody trouble. But you got to take everything into consideration, like we spoke about, level of opposition, inactivity, and just age. Like, so.
Aussie WBC #1 ranked contender Eleider Alvarez. You know, he's been paid off more times than a German judge. We managed to get him out the way, and I'm actually glad because I'm not really interested in seeing Alvarez fight anybody. You know, he's boring as shit. I know he's fighting Kovalev now. I'm not really interested in that either. I think Jack has been pulled it up from super middleweight. He's straight into this big fight, and I'd rather see him fight Stevenson than Alvarez, to be honest.
100%, absolutely 100%. I think it's a great fight, this, and I agree with what Andy said. I think this could be a real war. I think Jack might hit the floor. I think that the power that Stevenson has in that left hand is, I think the only way to describe it is freakish, and if he does land on clean, that it wouldn't shock me if he does hit the ground. That saying, I do rate Badu Jack. I think he's massively underrated, to be honest. I think when he was in with Groves, I think a lot of people picked Groves to win. Same with De Gale as well. I think a lot of people picked De Gale, and I mean he had a decent fight with Bute, and then last time out he absolutely destroyed Nathan Cleverly. Absolutely destroyed. I mean, it was a Cleverly that wasn't really, I say, a shadow of his former self, but he absolutely battered him.
Reeked of a payday, didn't it? There,
It did, yeah, and Cleverly didn't even get that much money for it in the grand scheme of things as well. However, I applaud Badu Jack for this. It's a good fight, and it's good to see Stevenson actually in with a live body. Essentially, we've been calling for the bigger fights for him. I don't think we'll ever see Stevenson and Kovalev. I think that was the fight that everybody wanted to see 2 years ago. That never happened. So now I think this is one of the best fights in the division that can be made. It's happening, and I think Jack may just have a bit too much for him, but I wouldn't be shocked to see both fighters hit the deck, and we see an excellent fight next weekend.
I've mentioned this before. If Stevenson does knock out Jack in clinical fashion, it'll be even more frustrating that he hasn't taken the big fights if he still has that type of power and accuracy and freshness available to him. You know, it'd be an ultimate shame. Anyway, Donnie, are you back with us? Donnie, where are you? Right, we've lost him.
He's watching the NBA playoffs. He's watching Boston Celtics beating the Cleveland Cavaliers. He's wanting to fucking beat King James and all his rebels scum.
What sports that, Andy, you're talking about?
Basketball. I knew Rob would like that one. King James King James as in LeBron James, obviously.
Obviously, he's who has his own issues with the Rebels come.
I with Boston Celtic just now. I fucking hell.
Right. Okay, boys, let's move on. Spain next Saturday evening. We're not going to talk about this too much. Mark Vidal, 11-1-4, European featherweight title going in against Kiko Martinez. They're still recycling his ass. Let's not worry too much about that. Let's go over to Leeds, the big one, as far as we're concerned. Lee Selby defending his IBF title against Josh Warrington. O'Hara Davis is in action. He's fighting Christoph Sabire. I seem to remember, am I thinking about the right guy? Sabire, someone tried to get him an Irish license a few years ago so he could fight as a journeyman in Ireland and the UK, but the BUI refused him. I'm pretty sure it was that guy. Anyway, meaningless anecdote there. Jack Catterall against Mohamed Carney, not really too interested in that one. Darren Tetley against Mason Cartwright, two former guests on this very podcast. That's a really good fight. Nicola Adams, Leon Woodstock. Willie Hutchinson has jumped ship from David Hay. Mark Heffron's also fighting. Fred Evans. No other things of note. Ozzy, you're the man for this one. You're going to be there in attendance. Tell me about the main event first of all. Now, I am pretty much on my own here. I have been all along. I'm not going to go out on a limb and say that Warrington wins this fight, but I actually believe that this is a damn closer fight than people think. And I really think that Warrington's going to give Selby a good fight. And I'm going to go for like a 115, 113, something like that. I do not rate Selby high enough and think that Warrington is that bad. I'm pulling them together, and I think it's going to be a really close competitive scrap. What do you think?
You're not on your own, because I agree with you. I think Warrington recently has only got better. I mean, his performance last time out against Dennis Cheerland was very good. He showed a bit of power, which I think it's fair to say that in his career, he's not shown anything at all of that sort. And it's one thing that he does really like. But Warrington, I think there's going to be about 25,000 people literally all behind him, because Selby just sadly doesn't have the fan base. And I think this is going to be a real close fight. Now, I believe I was speaking to somebody close to the Warrington camp, and they've got the game plan. They know what they're going to do. I tried to find out what it was, but they were in by no means of sharing that. But I think this is going to be a real close fight. I expect Warrington basically to basically be on Selby, getting close to him for the full 12 rounds. I don't think he's going to box at distance, because I think that'll play into Selby's hands, to be honest. I think he's going to put him on him. His engine is excellent. He looks in unreal condition. Obviously, it's the biggest fight of his career. And I think this is going to be a real close one. And I think Selby will do it. However, if there was an upset to happen and Warrington won, I wouldn't be surprised, because I think Selby is massive at the weight. But we've seen him, I mean, I think a couple of weigh-ins ago, he looked absolutely awful at the weigh-in. I think it was the fight in America, wasn't it? You know, when it was cancelled because that Barros failed his medical.
Yeah,
And
I've seen it. I've seen him a couple of times, Ozzy, and he looks terrible. Like
he looks shocking. So, and we all know ourselves that we've seen fighters previously. There's only so many times you can cut down to that weight before it takes its toll on you. I think they've timed it perfectly. Steve Wood has done probably one of the best jobs with a fighter in Josh Warrington than I've ever seen. He's done everything perfect. He's got him the right fights. He's done it the right way. Started at Central Area, English. I think he's won a British title. I'm not sure if he won a Commonwealth, but he won the EBU. Obviously, he's had these fringe WBC, WBO belts as well. Got himself into a mandatory slot for the IBF, and Josh Warrington's biggest fight is next week, and it's one I look forward to. And I think it could be really entertaining, to be honest. I'm really looking forward to it. The undercard is not so good. Very disappointed, to be honest. I think it could have been a great opportunity to have a real good undercard on, and to be honest, there's only Darren Tetley, Mason Cartwright that I have any massive interest in, to be honest. I think that's a great fight, a real good fight between two prospects. We've spoken about it before. One of them will probably lose. Well, one of them will lose unless it's a draw. It doesn't mean it's the end of the road for them. They can come back. We've seen ourselves, John Ryder. He's suffered losses. He's bounced back. But apart from that, yeah, it's like it stinks of a bit of a matchroom one, really. He's put the names on, like Frank's names, but he's not put them in with anything like O'Hara Davis. I think this is more like a run out for him, because he's obviously got the Josh Leather fight on the Martin Murray, Billy Joe Saunders card, which that's a good fight. So I think you can excuse his opponent, but a disappointing and underwhelming opponent for Jack Catterall. They're talking about putting Jack in with Terry Flanagan if Flanagan can beat Hooker. So I would like to have seen a step up. And aside from that, I mean, Willie Hutchinson, I think he's in with Adam Jones. So that'll be a test, because Adam Jones is a lot better than his record suggests. Nicola Adams, couldn't care about. It'd be boring. Don't really care about Nicola Adams one bit. And I don't think I've missed anything else off the undercard, really. But no, fair play. I mean, there was comments of, oh, you'll never do anything at Ellen Road, it won't sell, and stuff like that. But yeah, the north of 25,000 tickets. So I'll tell you what, it'll be a hell of an atmosphere next weekend.
Yeah, Andy, I speak to Jamie Sonigar now and again, usually when there's a Frampton fight on, ring him for the paper, talking heads. He's always good for a quote. Jamie, nice guy. He's obviously Lee Selby's manager. He says that Lee can make the weight and stuff like that. And I'm not a Selby hater as such. I don't find his style particularly aesthetically pleasing to the eye, and I don't think he's got that much power, but he's a damn fine fighter. This isn't going to be an easy, walkover job for either guy, but I don't see him being that much better than Warrington, who I think he's very fast. He can keep going, as Ben has said before. The guy has a lot of stamina, and he's definitely improving. I mean, am I completely out here, Andy? Do you think a Selby walkover or?
As the fights got closer, especially speaking to my godson as well, he's from Leeds and he's going to fight, so he'll be coked out. He's not like a wee fiend next fucking Saturday. I hope he gets stabbed or something like that. No, I'm joking, obviously. But as the fights got closer, I've actually felt that maybe Warrington could actually pull this off, and it's purely based on work rate. When I've watched some of the kind of build-up videos and that, I get the sense that Selby believes and knows that he's too good technically for Warrington, whereas Warrington's kind of like pushing this narrative that he's been slighted or he's been wronged by Selby, who's just seems to kind of like brush him off as like a fucking pestilence. So I think Warrington's actually kind of really up for his fight. And at the end of the day, 20,000. I don't know how many people are going to come from Wales to support Selby apart from his immediate family and friends and stuff, but I would need to say that Warrington's going to be jacked up like a motherfucker for this fight, and he's going to be putting it on Selby. Selby will be forced to work. He's going to be forced to move, probably hold, make it spot. I really don't know how it's going to go, but I wouldn't be surprised to see it go the distance and see Warrington maybe just shade it a wee bit on the cards. I'm going to sit on the fence now, but I'm starting to kind of lean towards Warrington, and I like Selby. But as you say, Steve, he can be awful to watch sometimes, but if he's in the mood, he can be quite good to watch. But we could see what we could do with some more knockouts. But again, as I'm saying, would Selby actually benefit if I move up to 130? Of course he would. But as I says beforehand, who's it we're talking about there earlier on there? The Mexican Moon guy. He is, as I says, he's got a world title. It's the only thing that makes him kind of, it's sad to say, irrelevant. Again, this IBF title makes Selby irrelevant because without it, what would he be doing? He'd be fighting like Romanians and Bulgarians on 8-rounders and 10-rounders and stuff. So, again, it's a type of thing. The reason why he's not winning on weight is because that title means everything to him. That's his name. That's his payday. But at some point, he's going to have to move up in weight. And this could be his last. Well, I wouldn't say it's going to be his last fight because if he wins it, he's going to fight Frampton, obviously. But big payday for both guys at the end. Big incentive for both guys. So at the minute, I'm actually seriously starting to side towards Warrington just purely because work rate, he might want it slightly more than what Selby wants as well, because obviously it's his first title shot. But I just think he's got this hunger about him, and my godson seems to think the same thing as well. So I think maybe Warrington might pull this off.
We're on the Warrington train here, Gabe. I know you're probably not too interested in the actual fight itself, but I mean, feel free to speak about Selby Warrington or maybe look at the wider picture. Obviously, Gary Russell, Santa Cruz, Mares, Valdez, Frampton. There's quite a lot going on at featherweight, but Selby Warrington, what do you reckon, Gabe?
Well, I actually like Warrington on this one. Not to jump on that bandwagon. I just from what I've seen out of him. I think he's going to make it a good fight. I think he's coming in with a little bit of fire in his belly and a little bit of want to do really well. And I think that's going to be the thing that helps him out the most in this fight, more than just about anything else. If he doesn't come in with some fire in his belly, and I think he's going to have a rough evening out of it, though.
And Gabe, looking across the featherweight division, Keith Thurman calls himself one time, but we've got one-time Gary Russell having his one-time fight for 2018. I don't see, I'm not going to say I don't see any way that Jojo Diaz beats him, but I don't really rate Diaz at all. I can't see him beating Russell, to be honest.
I don't know. I don't think he does either. I just don't see enough to get excited about. They've been pushing the kid since he's kind of come on the scene. I don't think he's bad by any stretch of the imagination. I just think he's kind of maybe like Ronnie Rios. I think Ronnie Rios, not in terms of how much they've gotten hyped and pushed, but I think they thought Ronnie Rios was going to be really good. And then he's had several defeats in his last few fights and kind of shown the true level that he's at. I don't see enough about Diaz to get excited about. I think he'll be a solid contender. He'll be a guy that challenges for world titles, and he'll win his share. But I just don't see him being an elite player in the game at any point. And he's still pretty young. He could continue to develop. I mean, it seems like his development is still ongoing. But as far as fighting with Gary Russell, there's zero doubt in my mind about how good Gary Russell could be. The only reason he's not is because of his inactivity. There is no way you can stay out of the ring as long as that guy does and be any account. He's lucky because he's young enough and he has those physical intangibles that allow him to do that. At this point, what's going to happen is at some point he's going to gear up and sign for the fight, and he's going to go in there and he's not going to be able to do anything because his reflexes are going to be gone. His legs are going to be shot, and it's going to look old all of a sudden. But then for us fans that really know the score are going to realize, well, that's what happens when you stay out of the ring. At some point it's going to catch up to him. And I think Gary Russell wins this fight. I don't think the time is now, but I think the time is approaching rapidly where he's going to have to stay busy if he wants to stay on the up and up. I just get the feeling that the guy really doesn't care too much about fighting, to be honest with you. I think he does it because he's good at it. Kind of like me and washing the dishes. They need to be done, so I do them. I'm good at it. I can do the dishes, but I don't like to. And I think Gary Russell has a similar outlook on boxing. I mean, the guy could be great, but he's just not. He's just not. He's not active enough to be great. And as far as I'm concerned, he'll probably go down as a person who had a lot of talent and just kind of squandered it because of his. I don't know what his issue is. Lack of desire is. I'm not sure. It's really kind of off-putting to me. But as far as the world level goes, I don't know. I don't think Diaz is there, and I think this fight's going to be kind of maybe a good fight, but it should tell us a lot about Diaz and where he's at, and possibly what we can look forward to.
Gabe, if you don't get the dishes done on time, do you feel the fast, accurate punches of Mrs. Lewis?
She can piss off. I do them whenever I get ready to.
Yeah, okay. Right, Rob, fine.
Kate, that sounded way too serious, didn't it?
Yeah, you shut the door, didn't you, and said that quietly, Gabe?
Gabe tries to put like that off a male in the household here, eh?
She's taking a nap. Don't tell her I said.
Rob, final comment to you. The two big featherweight fights over the weekend, Selby Warrington, Russell Diaz, where do they sit on the landscape of the division as a whole?
I think Selby's going to be a bit too cute for Warrington. Even though Warrington's got the home base behind him, and I think he'll give a good account of himself. I think Selby will be able to keep distance on him, especially in the second half of the fight. But I'm interested to see how it's going to play out. I kind of want to see, because I don't have a dog in the race, so I kind of want to see Selby win to set up the big fight for Frampton, because I think that's a real payday there. I don't know if Frampton Warrington is the same draw, although I'm sure it could be made as well. Gary Russell Jr., man, yeah, a bit of an enigma, talented fighter. I was really excited about him when I first saw him because of just his speed. I never saw anything quite as quick as his hand speed at certain stages of his career. Granted, he was knocking out guys he should be knocking out. Since the loss to Lomachenko, we've barely seen him. I think I've seen him in 2 fights. He looked pretty impressive in one of them, but I can't even remember who it was against because he's never on the radar. I don't know what his promotional issues are, why he's not fighting. But
he hates boxing, I think, doesn't he, Rob? He just no interest at all. He hates it.
Well, a guy with his talent should be screaming for Carl Frampton. Come fast. You know what I mean? Try and get a payday for himself. Come over and put on an entertaining fight against a top level fighter. Why not? You know what I mean? He's got the ability, but he's just going to push people further away. I guess we'll see him now, and we'll see where he goes from here. There could be other reasons why he's only fighting once a year too. You know what I mean? You have to be suspicious about all fighters.
Yeah.
Inactive like that, you know what I mean? And that's just, no shots at any fighters, but that's just the climate we're in at the moment. You kind of trust nobody, like. But I'm not that. I hope Selby comes through to set up the Frampton fight, but I'm not that overly excited about anything there at the moment.
Yeah, I hope one day the likes of Gary Russell don't turn around and live with regrets. This is the time now. Is it John Greenleaf Whittier once said, of all sad words of tongue or pen, the saddest of these, it might have been. The likes of Russell, Stevenson, all these type of guys are going to look back one day. They won't be able to do it anymore, earn the money, the acclaim, the belts, etc., and they might have some regrets. Hopefully not. No regrets for us. We'll be getting interview very shortly, belly of the weeks to come. Just before we do, a couple of questions, points of interest. Who have we got? Andy, let's go to you on this one. John Swan was having a go at the Ring magazine, and rightly so, in my opinion. You corrupt motherfuckers, ranted John. First of all, you pay off a judge to score in your favour. Then you blatantly block the decision of what is supposed to be an independent editorial panel. Boycott Golden Boy. It stands for everything that is wrong with boxing. Do you want to explain to the listeners briefly, Andy, what Mr. Swan is ranting about?
Basically, I think with Doug Fisher, he's issued an article, and I think he does it every month, for example, just basically a ratings update. So each division basically gets updated. So they basically tell you who's jumped, who's dropped out, for example. I'll give you an example. For example, number 7, Kubrat Pulev has been dropped due to inactivity over a year. So he's out number 10 rankings now. With Briswell, Miller, and Kowante, the Polish guy, they've all moved up one slot. Anyway, what's happened here is basically this new editor at Ring Magazine, Stefan Friedman, he's basically challenged the magazine's actual stance on this, and he's provided the editorial board with reasons, not just reasons, actual 6 reasons as to why Canelo shouldn't be. Basically, A, he's innocent, and B, why he shouldn't be struck his title off him and stuff. So basically, he's basically saying, receipts from the restaurant where Canelo ingested meat in time period that would have led to positive tests and stuff is provided to the commission. Hair follicle test, which, by the way, can't always be 100% accurate. That type of thing. I just think it's, what John's saying is actually bang on. When you get someone like that who's obviously in a position of authority, i.e. the publisher, who steps in and says, listen, he will remain in place, and that is it. So basically, words came down from on high for Oscar and people at Golden Boy. He stays, he's a golden child, and that is the end of matters. So it's lost all integrity. I can imagine that Knight Fleischer will actually be vomiting in his grave at the minute, just at the thought of this. It's just absolute shit. But then again, we've had previous problems with Ring Magazine in the past. Remember Don King's heavyweight tournament?
Yeah.
That was all corruption. It's just, that's what it is here. It's corruption. It's wrong. He failed a drugs test. He is guilty. I don't give a fuck what this hair sample says. He is guilty of cheating. I've said it before. He's cheated the weight for years, and this is an absolute bullshit that this guy gets to remain the lineal middleweight champion in the world. Absolute bullshit. The second oldest title in boxing, and he gets to hold it still for being a fucking cheat, and because his boss owns a fucking magazine. Shite.
Well said, Andy. The Ring completely lacking in any integrity. You won't find that lack of integrity here. I don't know how they sleep at night. Talking of sleep, have you got a Casper mattress? Only joking, everybody. We're not quite getting that bad yet. I know the 3 knockdown rule have gone that direction with the old hair. What is it, hair replacement or hair colouring products and all that type of stuff? Nobody's approached us about that yet, Andy. I don't think we'll have much need for any hair colouring products anytime soon anyway.
Well, definitely know me, mate. I was losing my hair at 13 because there was high testosterone levels. I was shagging constantly, and that's just what I was. That's why I have no hair. I've got high testosterone levels. My TEA ratio is like fucking. It's higher than Vitor Belfort's, by the way. I'm telling you.
You're higher than someone who's been eating that Mexican beef burgers, man.
Oh yeah.
Right, Ozzy, let's go on to you. I don't know how much hair you've got, Ozzy, but anyway, new newbie has been jumping in with a question. Could Eddie Hearn become the first promoter on the pound for pound list, says Mr. Newbie? He's just knocked out every promoter in America with this deal, hashtag always Hearning. What's this deal he's talking about, Ozzy?
Well, it's a streaming deal, isn't it, with... I don't know how you pronounce it. Is it Drazen or something?
DAZN.
Like that?
DAZN.
Yeah. So... £1 billion over, was it 8 years or something like that? A huge deal and potentially a game changer. Now, Ben actually revealed that it's not as basically straight up as it is. It's an initial 2-year deal which will then obviously, I presume it has like some automatic clause if Eddie impresses and fulfills the shows, good fights, etc., things like that. But it can only be a good thing, to be honest. I mean, the money into each show, I think it's about £6 million. So that's a healthy budget just from your TV alone, not taking into account any ticket sales, etc., things like that. So yeah, he's got to sign some fighters. It's in America, isn't it? And I think when it first starts, the viewing numbers will be low because you're asking people to subscribe, pay another $15. I think it is
$20 a month. I think it is.
$20, so another $20 then on top of other subscriptions they got on there, for like cable, etc., things like that. So it's going to be, it's definitely going to be interesting. I think, are they looking to start doing the first show in September? I think they've already said that Joshua Buatsi's going to go over there. So
that's right, Ozzy. And also, Ozzy, I noticed a friend of ours on the pod sent me quite a lot of good information during DM this week, and one of it was an article from 2017 in one of the online business magazines, an article that would have got missed at the time. It was something along the headlines of DAZN. This is the new streaming service that wants you to end up cancelling your Sky Sports subscription. So that's the type of market and angle they were going for then. That'll be interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, it will be interesting because obviously Sky are Eddie Hearn's big fish in the UK as well. Now, obviously with comments like that, I mean, I'd never heard of the service. But I believe they're huge in Japan, absolutely huge in Japan, and they streamed the McGregor Mayweather fight over there as well on that service. But no, it should lead to better fights. He's no reason to. He's taught the talk now. I want to go and sign the Charlos, Errol Spence, Deontay Wilder. Well, let's see if he puts his money where his mouth is, and let's see if he goes out there and does it. But they've not got a pay-per-view service, so I do think it will rule out certain fighters because I don't think the cash can be generated. But let's wait and see. One thing I will give to him, he's one step ahead of people. He's looking to the streaming service. Somebody made a good point, actually. He basically mirrors what the bloody WWE do. That they moved everything onto like a streaming service online of their own, and he's kind of done that as well. And he's done a couple of other things that somebody brought a list up on Twitter, and it replicated and it matched up really well. But no, it's obviously good for boxing. It seems to have been embraced by the promoters over there as well. I think it's a case of you've got to wait and see. You need to see what fighters he can sign, because for it to work over there, he needs the stable. Taking Buatsi over there at the moment, yes, he may look good, but no one's got a fucking clue who he is. So he needs the bigger names to make the bigger fights, and then we'll wait and see. Let's wait and see. I don't know what it means for the UK, though. I think you'll see a lot of his other fighters, like more his fringe fighters maybe. Basically, he'll allow them to go and fight on like a Cyclone or a Warren show, to be used more of an opponent now, if he's going to be signing a hell of a lot of fighters from abroad, particularly in America.
Yeah, that might not be such a bad thing. I don't know too much about the ins and outs of it. I know that ESPN, if they haven't already, are spending hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars on some kind of MMA deal as well. So it's exciting times, I suppose. Paul David KO66 has sent me a few thoughts on the DAZN deal, which I think our listeners might find interesting. He says, no company puts up $1 billion without using funds from future streams or buys. This is or subscriptions, I would imagine this is quite true. We will see initial funding of around $50 million for the first year of this deal. Depending on the success and stream buys, then the deal would continue. Mr. Paul David KO66 goes on. He says, no coincidence that this deal is announced during negotiations for AJ's new contract, trying to prove to AJ the future is at Matchroom. Easy to announce huge funding over a long period of time, gives time to make the money before reinvesting or cancelling. And finally, he says, even Sky's deal with Matchroom is only 5 years, and they have more or less a fixed subscriber base. In summary, not the deal it seems on the face of it, says Mr. 66. Also, if AJ goes, Matchroom and Sky are severely weakened in the boxing market. I don't think that AJ is going to be going anywhere, but anyway, we'll leave that for now. I'm sure we'll be talking about that over the weeks to come. Final point, Sky's Adam Smith has been annoying me for a while now. I can't even bring myself to put this up for Bellew of the Week because it's just disgusting, really. I know this is the same guy who was trying to shoehorn Anthony Joshua in when Muhammad Ali died. The guy's a complete shill. He tweeted after the Tony Bellew, David Hay fight, "Congratulations, Tony Bellew and Dave Caldwell, for repeat. And thanks to Mr. David Hay and his team for all their help in this compelling narrative." I mean, I don't know really what more you can say about that, but that's just completely blatant, isn't it? All their help with this compelling narrative. So he basically, Sky's Adam Smith is admitting what they sold to the public last week or the week after, whenever it was a complete pile of horseshit. Anyway, we'll not dwell too much further on that. I think we're going to go on to Bellew of the Weeks and get out of here, guys. If you asked any questions or whatever, we'll get on to them next week. We're going to call the casuals from now on. If you sent me a casual comment, there will be on the Facebook page, facebook.com/Boxing Asylum. But for the interests of brevity and getting everybody out of here on time, we're going to just go through the main ones this week. Right, these are the ones that I've got. Oshia16 has nominated the first Bellew of the Week for Michael Buffer, who was announcing something during Soccer AM on the pitch, and all of a sudden the sprinklers started going on. I know that Donny wasn't too happy about that one, but Michael Buffer got a nomination anyway. Joey at Master Mode 33 has nominated UK Boxing on Facebook. Cast your vote. Who wins? Anthony Yard against Dimitri Bivol. 40% said Bivol, 60% said Yard. I believe that is Casual Central. No casuals here. Dr. R. Thief Daniel, him of RBO fame, is back in the news. My first belt has finally arrived, he said. He was proudly showing his RBO title. Boxers often say you never forget your first title. God willing, says Mr. Daniel, I look forward to fighting and winning a WBC title soon and putting that next to this. Hashtag strap season, hashtag Dr. Hitman. Yeah, the WBC and the RBO, they go together like cheese and onion for many years. Chris Adams has nominated the WBC. There's some strange goings on with the WBC, actually, and their rankings at the moment. I think they had Matty Askin in as being from Belgium the other week, where they've got Marco Huck in at number 14 of their cruiserweight rankings as being from Great Britain. So they're having some nationality confusion there from the WBC. Just flicking through these here.
On that, mate, I see that they're actually holding their convention in Kiev, Ukraine.
Mm-hmm.
I actually messaged Mauricio Solomon and says, any chance you can actually hold it in the Donbass Arena in Donetsk, which has actually become a war zone recently. So
I know, yeah. So what did he respond? Any chance of getting the boys in there?
Nah, no response, mate.
No response. IFL TV have been nominated by Craig Mastro. Emotional, they said. Spencer Fearon delivers epic speech as the Manhood Academy receive a brand new bus. Sounds like something from Alan Partridge, doesn't it, this? Emotional Spencer Fearon delivers an epic speech as the Manhood Academy receive a brand new bus. Congratulations to Spencer and the Manhood Academy there. I'll have to go and listen to that epic speech. Marcus Bellinger has nominated official sporting icons for a little sort of, what would it be? A little collage of pictures about the Eddie Hearn haters. Congratulations to them for being nominated. Boxing Kingdom Fantasy Showdown. Who wins? Retweet for Mike Tyson. Favourite for Tony Bomber Bellew. Mohammed Mir has nominated Boxing Kingdom, which we're pretty sure is just a troll at this point. John Swan, mentioned it earlier, has nominated Golden Boy Boxing for killing the Ring magazine by overruling the editorial team of the magazine and refusing them to allow them to strip Canelo disgraceful. Completely agree with John there. Mihal has nominated World Boxing News and Prince Patel. Prince Patel claims that the World Boxing Organization ranking with another KO means it opens up a World Boxing Super Series spot. So we've got Tete, we've got Burnett, we've got Rodriguez. Could Prince Patel be the next one to be nominated for the World Boxing Super Series? We hold our breath and wait for that announcement. Chris Blackman has nominated Carl Froch. Lee Froch apparently is fighting in some white-collar event. All heavyweights should be very concerned, with the exception of Anthony Joshua. Don't miss this tomorrow in Nottingham, says Carl Froch. LL Cool K Kurt has nominated James DeGale. The British Hair Clinic, it's one for us, Andy. We're tweeting out, looking forward to seeing great results at James DeGale. Hashtag British Hair Clinic. Hashtag excellence in hair restoration. Will you be following James DeGale's lead? with a hair transplant from the British Hair Clinic here.
Absolutely no chance, mate. I'm a sexy, good-looking motherfucker without any hair. I think it's the way to go. After Abraham, he's bald. Sean Connery, all the greats are bald,
Telly Savalas.
After Abraham and Sean Connery.
Oh dear. Right.
Oh, fuck me.
There were some belters last night, as you'd expect, at the Mick Hennessy show. Hennessy Sports, Peter McDonough enters the ring, supported by tricolour flag bearer Kerry Katona.
Oh, my word.
John Kearns has nominated this. This was such a bizarre sight, wasn't it, Rob? What the hell was going on?
Bet she was coked out or not, eh? Bet she snotted lines off Peter McDonough's cock, eh?
But like, it's such a fucking random combination. Like, I started to think, like, what could be more of a random combination? Who are we going to have next? Dillian White and 5-star Tony Bellew and one of the Nolan sisters, or even better, David Hay and Rita Ora.
Fucking Rita Aldridge at this fucking rate.
Do you reckon the other two from the Tommy Kitten were sitting on the couch like, damn, it could have been us?
Next, fucking Dennis Hobson were rolling that. Who they call it again? Fucking
somewhere, like fucking Melanie Black from All Saints was kicking over the television in anger. Why is this not me?
Dennis Hobson were rolling Deirdre fucking Barlow shortly.
We were saying this last night, though, Rob, man. Could you see Joe Joyce coming out next with the members of Bewitched singing him into the ring?
Joe Joyce needs to come out with the real Joe Joyce. That'd really spark him.
Young Hannah at Ace Club 7 or something like that,
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Who said it to Kerry's agents on the front? Like, we got a good one for you. You're going to be on ring walk and one of the fight. Oh, cool. Is it the main event? No, it's not the main event. It's the warm-up fight. Peter McDonough. You might have seen his famous knockout win over Michael Gomez before. Where this is going to look for you.
Yeah, did she have some hot pants on last night? And if so, did you see the camel's toe by any chance?
I came on for the main event. Okay.
Oh dear, yeah, that was a strange combination, but it was well worth it. A good material for Belly of the Week. Right, anyway, the Walks said, what's people's predictions for Ali versus Munguia? Liam Smith, who should have been fighting, jumps in. Ali on points. What a watched of Munguia. He was average. I mentioned him before. He was mentioned for Golovkin as well, just as he was an unbeaten super welterweight coming through. Pretty average is Munguia, says Liam Smith. I wonder what he thinks of him now. Chad Hogan is back with a bang. He nominated him for that one. Chris Ogden has been nominated by Danny Flexen. He was talking about Joseph Parker and Hughie Fury and where they fit in the heavyweight mix. This was quite a good one. Quite a few people sent me this one, including Rob Barnett, regular listener to the show. Shout out to Rob. Matthew Macklin has proposed Vasyl Lomachenko against Anthony Crolla in Manchester in September or October on Sky Sports or ESPN. What do you think about that one, Andy? There's nothing better than putting Loma in against the man he knocked out last night, Crolla, who Linares had already beaten twice. Quite a strange one there.
That's it's must-made TV, mate. I mean, I also seen someone in the chat saying that Lomachenko should fight Luke Campbell next. Fucking Luke Campbell.
Oh dear.
That one being made though, Eddie rubbing his hands. Anthony's story. It's been so exciting. He's had ups, he's had downs. He's really up for it.
He's good.
Anthony. I can see it. I'm all on board with that one.
Meanwhile, it was at CTE because some cunt threw a slab on his head,
That's all the ones I've got. Andy, have you got any to nominate?
I've only got the one, mate. It's the WBA, believe it or not, or Lee Belt, anybody.
It's good to hear them back again.
Well, I don't know if you're actually aware of this, but Beibut Shumenov, he has announced his comeback.
Oh, God, not him again.
He is. No, he's actually been told that he's getting the fight for the vacant WBA World Cruiserweight title, and this will be happening on I think it's July 7th. I think against Hisney. Hisney got a record anyway.
Hasn't any chance of winning.
Exactly. Hisney Altanike. I'm not good with these names like you are, Steve, but I'll tell you now where he's from. I think he's some fucking German gadget.
Right, where's he rated in the WBA?
Oh, he's a Turkey. He is.
Isn't he Alton Koya?
That's.
Yeah.
Aye, Elton Kaya. There you go.
Yeah.
See, that's
Yeah.
you're too good at that shit, mate. Aye, so anyway, he's fucking fighting him for the vacant title. This is obviously Lebedev. I think he had the title stripped off him, but I just think, again, this guy who's had a bad eye injury, claimed a couple of years back that he was retiring because he was trying to save his eyesight. All of a sudden, he's seen the doctor saying he's cleared to fight and he can come back and fight for a world title. Fuck off. So I'm going to vote for the WBA. Oh, I'm going to put up the WBA for a nomination.
Always glad to hear them. Rob will be back in a second while he's getting back to us. Ozzy, do you have any nominations? Any Matchroom FC regulars this week?
Oh yeah, let me try and find it actually, because there is a couple. One in particular. Basically, I just need to go on a couple of Twitter feeds that always retweet them, and then it makes my life a lot easier.
While you're trying to find that, actually, Ozzy, while you're trying to find that, I'll just read something out because Daniel J. Mills was in touch a few weeks ago. He said, having only been a listener for about 6 months, I may have missed the chat. However, I'm curious to know what the panel's view on the British prospect Mitchell Smith is. Genuinely one of the most exciting young fighters I've seen. Knockout of the year a few years ago, followed by a shock loss, then fading into obscurity. I think he may have even spent some time in prison last year. Well, we were endeavouring to try and get Mitchell on the pod. Unfortunately, over the last 2 or 3 weeks, it hasn't quite been possible, and I don't think we're going to be able to get him on. So, unfortunately, Daniel won't be able to answer that question with Mitchell directly. Don't really know. I think he's had a comeback fight. He's maybe a little bit too high in weight. I'm not sure if he's with Adam Booth or not. All these questions we were hoping to ask him ourselves. But like I said, if you know Mitchell, tell him we're okay. We won't be too rough on him. Tell him to come on the pod. Like I said, the last 3 weeks or so, he's been unavailable. So we will try and get him on, Daniel, to ask you a question if we can. But if not, it's not going to happen, I'm afraid. Any updates, Ozzy, on those nominations yet?
No, I can't find it.
Don't worry about it. It's fine. Right. I think for LOL factor, Andy, I'm going to go for the Mick Hennessy, Peter McDonough, Kerry Katona combination. That really did brighten up my Saturday evening.
Yeah, mate, I would go for that as well. Just seeing her just kind of prounce about the ring with Irish flag. No, I've got an issue with it, but just like the manner in which she did it, as if she was like.
He has an issue with it. Don't mind him.
Honestly, don't, mate. I honestly don't. But
I know you thought that.
Just seeing her going about, waving it about like some sort of Nedette, I'm like saying to myself, what type, just go and fucking shop at Iceland. And by the way, just fall into the fucking freezer while you're at it and shut the fucking door behind you. So I'm going to vote for that, mate.
What was brought into more disrepute last night, Rob? Hennessy, Katona, the flag, McDonough. Who came out worse?
Hennessy. That's a good drink, that, by the way.
I think you'd want to have one if you were watching that. Like, you'd want to have a few. I don't know. Yeah, that's hands down. That could be a monthly winner. That's if we brought in a Bellywoods of a month or a Bellywoods of the year. That's up there. Like, that's one of the most bizarre things I've ever seen. That's probably one of the most bizarre landings in the ring since the Fan Man.
Ozzy, are you going with it as well? I mean, fair play to Mick. Like, if it's not people talking over the tannoy during the fights, if he's not mortgaging his house, he's the gift that keeps on giving. I'm actually a big fan of Mick. I like him.
Yeah, but I don't think we can let Matthew Macklin get away with this awful suggestion of Lomachenko, Anthony Crolla. It's an absolute ludicrous push from a Sky Sports employee, really. But that's saying Mick deserves a rub of the green and to make him an award winner after a hugely popular show last night. I think just reconciles that. We'll hopefully see him back in the game soon. You never know, Pink Tyson might be making a return on a YouTube pay-per-view. What was her fight last time? 99 pence. So, yeah, I'll vote for Big Mick Hennessy.
I think Ozzy's doing a disservice there. I think it was actually £1.49, but, good old Pink. Right, I think that'll do it. We've had enough. Thank you to everybody who's been on tonight. Excuse me. Ozzy Smith was there. We've had Rob Kelly, Andy Patterson, Smido was on, Gabe, Donny. I think that's everybody. Yeah, I think that's everybody. Thank you, everybody in the chat, for listening as well. Please go and subscribe on whatever platform you are listening to this on, whether it's iTunes, YouTube, or anything like that. And also patreon.com/Boxing Asylum. If anything is going to entice you in to join us on a monthly basis, it is a Fury Sexton live commentary. There's about 45 minutes of gold up there right now that you can go and listen to. Thank you, everybody. We shall catch you all again next week. All the best. Bye.